Welcome everybody to our live stream here on the Chess and Twitch. Context is a little empty here on the void, otherwise known as the internet. But we got really nasty political themes already. Oof, Bobby Fischer, the U.S. Juicebox is in the house, and we know he hates to analyze chess. Here we're here for analysis of games, actually. And as much as Move 11 is a troll, he does appreciate a good game analysis now and then. What do I have here? Thomas Transit versus Sparkle Horse. Okay, guys, it's been a very busy week for me. Tesho, what's up? Hungarian, we say Tesho. It's like, bro. What's up, Tesho? Sparkle Horse, Thomas Transon, submitted by Thomas Transon. Oh no, not a very serious game. Bullet. Bijak. Bijak. No. We're not playing anybody today. This is subscriber analysis. If people are subscribers, they can submit a game they played, and we analyze those games. Alright. Do you have your band hammer handy? Don't bust it out unless absolutely necessary. Sparkle Horse, Thomas Transon, Nefidov, Mr. Slow versus Mr. Victim. Acerbate game, Morales game, Sun Prism. Alright, dude. Last chance. Everybody deserves a last chance. Alright. That was the last chance. Oof. No good can come of that. The computer is kidding me, right? It wants to do a restart. Your device needs to restart to install updates. Sorry, you had that chance on Monday. I told Acerbate I was having trouble with Windows, which is one of the reasons why we're late tonight. My computer was so throttling the fan that I thought it was best to actually restart the machine. Active in chess. Juicebox, it's unclear if you were ever really active. But we know you love chess. Just gossip is your main thing. That's cool. Windows updates are the worst. I know. And we should have anything, right? Apple, Linux. Windows update on Monday, and then immediately it starts like doing crazy shit. So they're rolling out the fixes, but I'm not going to stop my stream so they can roll out another fix whenever they feel like. I'm going to start the analysis now. We've got, and I've offended and banned our only new viewer. I'm sorry about that, new viewer. He was a smart ass from the beginning. No, sadly he had followed since like October or something, but whatever, dude. We have no use for that. And we have no use for chess.com. So why do they put those stupid channels I don't care about? Dino Chess. Dino or Dino? Now, you see, I already got distracted by the freaking guy, you know? That's the thing. I mean, he's like saying these stupid shit. Can you analyze a game with me? I'm so hurt. And he was like sarcastic from the beginning. Mr. Lost My Brain in Bullet. Yeah, you know, it occurred to me last night that there are two different accounts that have long played on my streams occasionally. Mr. Slow, there's Goo, right? That Goo account that you lost to yesterday. And there was another guy who I think was a poker player, although I don't know his name, HGGG. So I'm sometimes like getting people confused with each other. Goo plays in the arenas, but there was HGGG. They're not the same person. But you know what I thought was interesting yesterday? When Goo, who I assumed was Hungarian, he has Hungary on his profile. When he answered, though, the interesting thing about his answers are real. I don't know, the way he answered, it felt very like Western style, the way he talked. Like, you can't be sure that somebody's actually Hungarian. I didn't ask him, are you Hungarian? But, there's been guys from Turkey that lived in Budapest. There's one other guy, one Turkish guy, who lived here. What's his name? No, maybe he's not Hungarian. It occurred to me. I don't ask everybody to provide, their personal details and stuff. But it would be kind of weird to say, put a Hungarian flag if you're not living in Hungary. But if he is really Hungarian, his lingo is very American style. It felt very American style, but that's the internet, I guess it's normal. Just his lingo felt kind of American. But anyway, whatever. All right, not important. But I realized I was getting those two guys because they both had the weird HGGG goo, like these weird, strange names with like two letters. And I realized I was getting them confused with each other. I guess Goo might be, he may be younger and getting better. It seems like the player has gotten a lot stronger, although Mr. Slow's right. Of course, he was lost. Whatever, he was lost. But he's fast. Mr. Slow lost his brain in Bullet, has tipped 2278. Nevertheless, the guy might be a flagger, but he is getting better at flagging. He won the tournament fair and square. Arenas are not objectively fair. Serbians pretend to be Americans. That's hard, that's hard to do. Alright, so we're going to start, without further ado, once I grab this game from Schumacher, who's Shadow Minister. Block. Compose message. Here. Serbians posing as Americans. I never recognized that accent. Oh no. Poor Drown the Clown. They're Bulgarians who are Russian spies posing as Serbians. Actually, Juicebox. Alright, so we got Budapest is becoming like a spy city now because of Orban and the Russian friends and stuff. One of the friendlier cities for Russian spies now after Vienna, apparently. Are you getting me? I'm getting all distracted again. Forget it. We just talk about chess. This is an analysis stream. Thanks for the donation from Mr. Slow. I'm not going to get distracted. I have ADD or something. I know. It gets worse when I'm tired. Ripunj is like, why do you pay attention to my comments? Dude, you're spamming the stream. He's spamming the stream with comments. How do I not get distracted? This is spammed with green comments. It's like, damn, I wish I had more self-control not to pay attention to every comment in the stream. But I try to interact, while doing what I'm doing. And then a lot of times I'm just too tired and I can't turn it off, when we need to focus. D4, knight f6. This is Thomas Reinson. He's first. There he is. He's first. And you be nice to Mr. Coffee. Or Finito la Commedia. D4, knight f6. C4, c5. D5, e6. This is our game from 2 weeks ago, where we played in the simul. Thomas Reinson played the Banco against me. No, it is not. Oh no. Oh no. It's not a Benko. Oh. Damn, I thought Thomas Trenson... I thought he was submitting his game where he lost. Ugh. It's Benoni. I played knight c3, he plays pawn takes pawn, and now d6 and e4, and then black played bishop e7. The cigar chomper variation. And I never learned my lesson with this. It wasn't enough. I lost the cigar chomper all those years ago. I can't help myself. I just can't help myself wanting to play f4. But I have to say that you're not late on late. I don't know. It's not like I went and studied how to play the whatever this is. This is not an accredited variation that they teach at Kentucky Fried Chicken Chess or Kasparov Chess School or whatever. It's not an accredited variation. No one plays it, pretty much. And so I've never taken it too seriously. Thus, I lost to a 1700 like back in 1997 or whatever. It's not a Franco Benoni. Get out of here. Time him out. Doesn't know what he's talking about. It's not a Franco Benoni, dude. You don't know what you're talking about. Uber driver's always saying stuff, but he's not paying attention. Franco Benoni is with the pawn on c4. We take with the e pawn. This is not a Franco Benoni. Stop saying stuff unless you're sure you're saying the right thing. Think about what we're saying here before we say it. Alright, now Uber drivers learned his lesson. Move 11, thanks for donating. I would never ban Uber driver, but timeouts are free. I have an unlimited amount of timeouts for you. We just have to think before we speak. It's not the Franco Benoni. It's whatever it is. It's not even the old Benoni. It doesn't even have a name. It's a cigar guy variation. It's a bad Benoni. But should I play f4? So Vadim Shashkin played it. Why? What is that? Dude, that's like some kind of fake match or something. And why are those games in there? Jesus. Who's Vadim Shashkin? Shishkin or Shishkabab? What are those games, bro? That's like a fake rating point gain match or something. I hope he wouldn't ban you either. You were a loyal follower. A little sensitive, but so am I. Yeah, no, Uber driver he talks before he thinks, and sometimes the problem is, like, people are going to believe him, and they're like, oh, Uber driver said it's the Franco Benoni, but it's not, dude. It's not Franco Benoni. Franco Benoni is different. It's like when you do this. The Franco Benoni is e4, for example, e6, d4, c5, and I played d5. They're calling it French Benoni. See? That's the Franco Benoni. Brah. Anyway, bishop e7, f4. I don't know. I think that maybe I shouldn't play this. Because all I do is get in trouble. Objectively, the computer says it's the fourth best move on a low depth, 27. a4. You could play anything, but I think this is dangerous because I always end up overextending myself. So e4 becomes like a target. Yeah, a4. Castle, knight f3, rook e8, bishop d3. And now this is very funny. We've got a very large sample size here of 3 games, but I mean, I wanted to protect my e4 pawn. What could possibly go wrong with bishop d3? And now the dude plays this move that, like, totally confused me. This has to be bad. Thomas, you played queen b6. And I have to admit, like, I get the point. You're preventing me from castling. But I have very little faith in this really being objectively correct. More games. Yeah. it doesn't matter. You know, this is a bad opening for black, and it shouldn't be played. But it just goes to show you that I really, you know, fell into a bad situation very quickly. The following move feels like a mistake. I played knight to d2, and there's something inconsistent about it. On the one hand, I'm like going aggressive, and I'm pushing e5, and then the next moment, I'm freaking pulling that knight back, you know? So it doesn't really make sense. This has got to be a mistake. It's so tempting, but I can't do everything, and I'm losing time now. I've played f4. I have to find another solution. You guys want to know what I thought about? I mean, this is obviously possible, but it looks very risky. But it needs to be considered. It really does, actually. Just pull the trigger on e5. If I go e5, what are you going to do? Like take, and knight g4? These pawns are extremely strong. It's possible I could even castle queenside. Maybe something like queen e2, guarding these squares. It's a very, very sharp position, but I think white is much better. Thing is, I didn't want to play sharply, so I was inconsistent, you know. I played this very aggressive f4, and then I'm like, no, and I thought about queen b3, but this is lame. Queen b3 is pretty lame. I don't think this can be any kind of critical test. It would avoid maybe... No, it doesn't even do anything. I'm not even threatening. I don't really want to trade on b6. So I think that I should maybe play e5 in retrospect. I can't castle. I could move my queen. I bet some people will be suggesting like this, but the problem is like you still can't castle. So in order to castle, I have to be able to play bishop e3. That's going to get attacked by knight g4. This doesn't solve my problems. Maybe I should just freaking play a4. Idea a5, queen b4, rook a4. a4 is also... If a4, a6, a5, queen a7, staying on this diagonal. Ambulance, that's right. So I think here was the key moment where this is... 92 is okay, but I think I'm going in the wrong direction, Mr. Slow, you know what I mean? It feels like I'm going in the wrong direction. Something weird about playing knight f3, f4, and then playing knight d2. I mean, I'm not gonna base my analysis on the computer. I don't have access to that, and you know, so we can't go with what the computer says. But bishop g4 here may be another really important moment that I fucked up. Maybe bishop e2 deserves a very serious consideration. h3 is slow. I agree. Welcome back, Uber driver. Just make your comments accurate. So, I don't think this is so crazy to play bishop e2, for example. I'm threatening knight c4 in the future. If he takes, fine, I take with the queen. And yeah, okay, my queen is in the line, but I can castle now. Hopefully. There's a possibility of something like castles knight e4, but he can't even play f5 right away because of knight check. He'll have to prepare that, actually, for one more move. So I think even bishop e2 is okay. Yeah. Well, he likes that. Yeah. He likes to pretend that. Bishop g4, it looks like it probably is a bad move. And I thought I have a huge advantage here. Queen c2. Now knight a6, threatening knight b4 with tempo. Knight. And I thought, okay, I have a huge advantage. I'm killing him, right? Here. And now you're very smart, bishop d7. The problem is, like, I don't know if I can really pull this off, the sort of e5, too early. It looks like I might have played knight c4 too early. Here I just didn't plan out what I was doing. I got in quick trouble. I underestimated my opponent, and I underestimated the position. No, I know, Goo. I mean, I lost to a 1700 back in like 1996. Who was chomping on a cigar because I played f4 and I also overextended myself. I think it's a good move, but it's also kind of risky, and it's not necessary. It's definitely not necessary to play 4 pawns. But on the other hand, like if you play 4 pawns attack, I think you might as well be able to play it against this. If it works against the Romano Benoni, it should still be okay. But it's not necessary to play that. Yeah, it's risky. So here c4 was probably played too early. I can't castle. He's tricked me. I can't castle yet, you know? And so I was frustrated. I don't know what to do. Where's my waiting move? You know, I can play e5. I thought I'm just like almost winning. But I'm not, you know, because he has this, and now what do? If I castle, he plays b5. So, I mean, does anybody have a solid suggestion here for white? I mean, seriously. It looks like a terrific position, but I don't know what to do. Knight c4, queen c7, you're threatening b5. So I played queen b3. I don't want to play a4 and let him come in here. So any other suggestions from the peanut gallery? Maybe I could castle and allow b5. If I castle and allow b5, the situation is going to get crazy. I mean, I could possibly play knight takes d6. Then bishop d6, e5. Bishop takes e5, pawn e5. Queen e5. But I'm, what? Down a pawn? Down a pawn. And I don't have clear compensation. Bishop f4, queen d4 check. This is not, you know, I'm just not feeling it. I don't know. You know, before I knew it, I was in trouble. Here, no time. I played queen b3 to stop b5, and now obviously rook b8. And now it was like, now I realized that I like kind of upped the screw. And what I was worried about was if I play the obvious a4, he comes in here. Now my bishop's hanging. And if I play bishop b1, I was panicking about d5. So I thought maybe black has some discoveries. You know, knight takes, pawn takes, bishop h4, double check. This may not, maybe this isn't like fully sound. But I had a limited amount of time to calculate. So you felt your rook b8 was too slow. Did you have better? Do you have b5? Do you have another move, sire? I'd rather not use the computer if I don't have to. Not only because it makes the fan go crazy on my machine, but if you don't play rook b8, like, what are you going to play? You better play b5 then, but I don't know if it works. The fish told me I had better. Well, I mean, the only other suggestion that I can really offer you is something crazy like knight takes e4, sacrificing a piece. You know, there's a possibility that you could do some kind of in-between combination. But I still think this is a fine move. What am I going to do? I have to play something. Knight b5. And unfortunately, it was only after I played the move that I realized he has these tactics. So what if I go a4, you go here? Can I play like bishop e2, for example? And this knight is now pretty good on b4. But anyway, after this, and this, I think I'm in trouble. Why queen b3? Kind of walking into it, right? Well, okay. Yeah, but I mean, what do you suggest? You think I should just allow b5? Well, if I had, hindsight was 20/20. Maybe I do have a better move. I can play. Well, I mean, it's complicated, Mr. Slow. Like, let's take this move for example. If I play knight e3, he has c4. Probably. Now, if I take, he should have some sort of tactic here. I mean, I'm it's like a minefield, If I move the knight, it's a minefield. If I allow b5, it's a minefield. What am I going to do if not? So let's say I castle, okay? Now you go b5. Now, how do you play against b5? What am I going to do? It looks like the whole thing is collapsing. I don't like this. This is freaky. Yeah, Stockfish thinks that it's slightly better for black. Already. Knight takes b5. This is the best line. Knight takes b5, bishop takes b5, e5. With insanity. I sack a piece for an attack of some kind, and I don't think it's enough. Yeah, I agree. Like, queen b3 does look a little bit like walking into it. Here, knight b5, takes, and now he takes the pawn. And so the question was, maybe I would have some compensation based on the white squares, because he had to give up his light square bishop. So that was my idea. Not idea, but my hope. It's not an idea, it's hope. So castles. I'm not going to take this. Allow bishop h4 check, and I'm just clearly worse. I have to sack a pawn. And now black plays, I'm hoping maybe he'll play f5, which would weaken his position a little bit. But instead he just goes back with knight f6. Very compact. And so do I have any real compensation now? I think here I probably continue to play badly. But I'm upset, and this pawn is hanging. Yeah, my queen is really misplaced, right? It's in retrospect, it's true. Look at the misplacement of that queen on b5. Ultimately, I can't afford to sacrifice a second pawn. So knight e3, bishop f8, and now, I'm down a pawn, but I'm trying to survive. Objectively, what am I supposed to do? Bishop d2, something like that. Knight e4. And I'm going to school. I'm getting schooled here. This looks really bad for white. So, I didn't know what to do at this point. I panicked. But I'm sure that I must have some better moves. Pretty much anything is better than what I did. In retrospect, maybe I could just retreat my queen back. Because here, I could take that. Or not. Or not. Well, actually, oof. A4, C4? I'm confused. I think this is good for black. Damn. I can play queen a3 and survive, but I'm still clearly worse. I'm clearly worse. Clear pawn down. So, I did g4. This is insane. This is really insane, and too optimistic, of course. But I wanted to scare him, and I didn't think he would. I didn't think he would risk, because he's already up material. But he does. He sacks the exchange with rook takes e3, and I think this is a good move. I mean, it's a good practical move anyway. Bishop takes e3, and now not knight takes d5. There I even have bishop takes h7 check, for example. Bishop takes h7 check, and queen d3, and I pick up the knight on d5. Well, I mean, you kill all of my attacking chances, and you're still basically up material. Bishop takes, knight takes g4. So you have 2 pawns, you know. Seven, 2 pawns and a rook for 2 pieces. And the engine almost always likes the 2 pieces better. No. You're down the exchange. I'm crazy. Okay. You sack the exchange for 2 pawns. But I still think, you know, it's a slight material advantage for black. 2 pawns for the exchange. It's very slightly better for black materially. But more importantly, my king is exposed. My king is open and your king is safe. And you talked about that in the beginning. Bishop h7, king h8, whatever. You know, it wouldn't... Maybe it doesn't work. Rook takes, bishop takes, knight takes d5, bishop takes h7, king h8, bishop d2. But, you know, now what do? You still can't take. You'd have to try g6. And this is pretty dicey, to be honest. Queen here. Maybe that would actually be good for me. We get him to weaken his king side. So no, he did the right thing. He takes the pawn on g4. Now I have a problem. And I didn't like this diagonal. Objectively, the bishop better here. So that my move is probably pretty bad. But I was very scared of queen d8 or queen e7 followed by queen h4. There's a very easy plan for him to play. Bringing his queen to h4. That's why I put the bishop on the stupid square f2. Now he does it anyway. He still plays this. Into the tempo. And here I thought, okay, I probably have good chances to survive. And you played an unbelievable move. I mean, I expected queen f6. Or maybe, you know, in retrospect, you should have played queen d8, not queen e7. There's no major advantage. But here, knight c7, damn. You know, I didn't see this coming. And I like endgames, and I figure I'm up the exchange, so why not? Rook takes, knight takes. And this position is maybe not lost for white. You know, I haven't looked at the computer. But you've got 2 pawns for the exchange plus structure. So it's kind of like more than being up 2 pawns for the exchange. Because I have 3 isolated pawns, all of these pawns need like babysitters. And my pieces like aren't too well coordinated. So I go here, and then you took my bishop. And this is a practical decision. But in retrospect, you know, I might have snoozed here. Because now that I look at it, I probably would have played bishop takes b5. If I had this to do over again. It's possible I was missing the fact that I could take on b5. I think I would go for ops colors here, though you still have winning chances, and you're still very solid. It looks like a better decision. Well, I still end up with ops color bishops, but you don't get a knight on d4. In the game, he gets a knight on d4. This way, this is better for me. I don't see that coming. So the knight on g4 now harder to coordinate. Knight on g4 is one thing, or knight, yeah, you have to put your knight on g4. I could even play rook e8 here, and I'm probably not losing. It's possible I'm not losing, although maybe I am losing a pawn there. Rook takes, bishop takes, knight e3. That might be problematic, and then knight takes here. Not real excited about that possibility. Alright. So I don't have to play rook e8. But anyway, the point is no knight on d4. This is a huge mistake. Because I let him go knight on d4. Now with that knight on d4, I mean, probably a computer would draw this. What is it, like +1 for black? It's around +1. Do I have good evaluation skills? Sorry. Somewhere between 0.9 and 1.2. It's 0.9 better for black, which means it's a draw with perfect play. But Mr. Tomas Transon played a great game. KG2, this is, I'm doing nothing about B5, man. I need to take some kind of measures. I should probably play A4. At the very least, I can force you to trade a set of pawns. Another thing is maybe another open file would help my rooks. So if I had more time, I would play light years better. So I ignored this B5 that's coming. Big mistake. And now he has B5. Now my A pawn is stupid. I could have prevented that with A4. KG2 doesn't do anything. Rook D1. Here's a move that only prevents C4, but it also doesn't do anything. If I could, I would trade, okay, main thing is this rook on F2 is very stupid. I need to get a rook off. I need to get your rook off the board. If I could double rooks and trade your rook off, I would be okay. Rook D1, F5, getting the king closer to the center. Rook FF1, and now A5, okay, thematic. Rook FE1, I've got no way to penetrate on the open file. So I've achieved nothing. Now G6. And so now I need to come up with a reasonable plan here. This is a long game, so I've already taken a long time. I think that white can hang on, but it's really unpleasant. It's borderline lost. Now we're up to negative 1.7. I'm doing nothing with Rook B1. This is a really bad move, but I don't know what to do. I'm basically just marking time here with Bishop F1. Not getting attacked by C4 with tempo. Bishop F1 does literally nothing. I don't know what to do. Maybe if I had it to do over, I would play B3 or something. In retrospect, continue to try to get light square control. I just wasted tons of time trying to play safe moves, and now you're threatening forks, getting the knight here. I would think maybe Bishop G2 now to prevent knight D2 check, knight E4, but I went in. Bishop F8, that's okay. Rook D1. I think this is where I was thinking about sacking the exchange. I ended up doing it, but I pulled the trigger here a little too early. I don't think I should do it. I think I should just come back and try to make you, actually maybe Rook E3, I'm not sure. Maybe Rook E1, but try to make you prove it. You have to prove it. You have to win the game. And I made it easier in a way by making this exchange sack. Now you have 0 chances to lose. You can only win or draw. And you're up, 2 pawns. So chances are pretty good. Rook B6, not the best move maybe, but it relieves the guard. And then A4 is definitely a good move. Bishop C2. And this is where things get crazy. So, my last move, okay, here's the deal. Here, 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 here. I don't want to lose this pawn. But let's say, how am I going to protect D5 anyway? After this. Rook B7. I should have played Bishop D3 first. It looks like we're lost. You have B4. Anyway, it's a very difficult ending. I thought I could get some kind of tricks here. But you took the pawn, and then you played very nice move. Rook C4. You could you know, most people would have played d5, and I would have responded with rook e5, and there's a good chance it's a draw. But after this move, it's very problematic. I have no entry points. If I take, you know, you're threatening like d5, d3, bishop g7, this pawn is weak. I assumed I was lost. I am lost. Assumed the position. So that's a beautiful move. Yeah, rook c4 was a really great move. Now I'm lost. I try to blockade. And I thought maybe I had a chance. You couldn't break through. The problem is the other pawn is weak. f4 is weak as well. So what happens finally? You threaten to penetrate. You penetrate at e3. Yeah, here obviously I'm threatening rook takes g6. You have g5. You give up this pawn with check. Here, rook e1, and this is again. I'm seeking exchanges too early. Although I think I might be lost anyway. This is very strong. I don't know. I don't know if I can hold this position. The rook e3 threat is too strong. I thought obscular bishops really. Oh, I might have a chance. You know. But you played such a wonderful move next. I was close to hanging on. You know, but objectively, maybe you can even do this. You can probably play even bishop h4. You know, if king f3, just go down. So I don't think you have to do f3 check right away, but it's a cute, very cute, and this is winning because I'm too far away here. And then I said after the game that, like, I think if he doesn't have both pawns, if you take the d5 pawn off the board, it's probably a draw. 2 pawns down is probably a draw, but this is bad. Sacks the other pawn. Now I can't stop him. The point is you can go like here, here. That's even better, but you know, even if I stop you from going, you know, even if I stop you from going to c1, which would be a better try, the problem is king a1, and I can't stop it. So great game, Tomas. Tough game. Nefidav's up next. I want to thank again subscriber stream, Mr. Slow. Actually, we should do Mr. Slow maybe. Nefidav's not even here. Mr. Slow, with a donation against Mr. Victim. Can we see move bishop h4 instead of rook e2? You are late. You are late. Move 23 bishop h4. Oh shit. Move what? Instead of rook e2? Bishop h4? Are you mad, man? You know, I would never find that in a million years, even if it was a legal move. It would be hard for me to find it in an OTB game, I think. Neat move. It's a cool idea. What about... Oh, that's beautiful. If g5, bishop takes g5. And if f6... White's winning. Can't do g5. So bishop h4. Yeah, that's a really neat move. So if you take... I take... Is it enough, though? Can he just play like rook e8 here? Yeah, he has rook e8. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It was a nice try, though. Alright. Moving onward. I had already fucked up my position there. Sorry, this is Mr. Slow. Mr. Slow with a big donation today. we had Mr. My Brain Can't Play Bullet tipping 2278, bringing us up to 178.77. Was that your idea, Aster B? 17.877. Alright. E4, Mr. Victim is black. Knight f3, knight c6. We're white. We played the Scotch. Wow. We're full Gawain Jonesing. Did you guys see there was some post about Adiban, and he played in some tournament? That German guy who organized his tournaments posted it. Adiban won some tournament in Uzbekistan, and I was telling Asterbait, Crazy Garayev finished second. The dude has non-federation. You can have that. I want to have that. Are you serious? Since when can you play in FIDE tournaments with non-federation? Wait, I don't understand how that's allowed. You know, I really don't. He's a chess. He's a non-state. He has no state. That would be the ultimate way of protesting FIDE. Just not have a federation. I didn't know you could do that. All the time these Russians have been doing like FIDE federation. They could have been non-federation too. No, you mean like under the FIDE flag? No. I mean like the dude, the crazy dude. Brightly identified. Jones is my Make Chess Great Again leader. Yeah, only Jones plays this Gingy stuff. I wonder if Gawain Jones was an early subscriber to like Roman's videos or something. It seems odd, but he plays the Scotch 4 Knights. He also plays the Scotch Gambit. He also plays the Grand Prix attack against everything. I always attributed the Grand Prix attack to the English players being like the Grand Prix leaders, but there seems to be like it could be he was the right generation to have an early. He saw some VHS videos somewhere. He's like Christopher Walken. He only has like a VHS player. No Mr. Huffy anyway. Interesting, weird. The guy's weird enough, you know, but I want to be non-federation. From another planet, dude. He's obviously from another planet. Alright, he takes d4, bishop c4, and now this is the move that actually the engine likes, right? Bishop e4 check. It's probably like the one move I've never played in this position. Ever. It always seems like scary. You're asking for a Danish gambit, right? What could possibly go wrong? Or a Goring gambit. Does it just transpose to the Goring after c3? It's kind of better than the Goring in a way. If you take with a knight, it's a Goring. Oh, Musk would be down with that, right? We could create the Martian Chess Federation. I want to be a grifter. It's not too late to like switch and be a grifter. Pro-Trump, pro-Musk grifter, chess grifter. I could get like, what's his name? That farmer bro to play with me on stream. Martin Shrekley. Martin Shrekel. I'll do streams playing Martin Shrekel. And we can have like right wing. Doesn't Musk hate chess? Maybe. Yeah, I mean he might. He probably like he's probably got some kind of like maybe he had like traumatic experience like in high school. Did he go to high school or did he just like hatch or something? Maybe he got kicked off the high school like chess team or something for being like too autistic. maybe he has some kind of traumatic, bias. He actually liked Democrats until the Democrats dissed him, and then he became like a Nazi. But anyway, alright, so C3, D takes C, castles. There was some kind of like electric car thing they were hosting at the White House like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and like Joe Biden didn't invite Musk, and like that was the end of it, Then he became a Nazi over that like one thing, Maybe he doesn't like chess, but anyway, whatever. He would like the idea of a Martian chess federation. Castles, D6, and now what? So Mr. So was saying like there's something better than I've played the many games with this normal, but this is just a normal mainline gambit that's a little bit better for black theoretically, although I think it's not so easy to handle, and a lot of people with black play it badly. So it looks like knight f6 is the standard move here. All draws. I have like literally never played this. Like you're saying it's more like an Evans? Yeah, I guess. So let's see. It looks like the recommended line is knight f6. B takes C this looks kind of lame, but it's a move. E5. Naturally D5. Takes. Now that I think about it, it's possible I did this once in a blitz game with black. F takes G7, Rook G8, Queen takes D8 check. So I guess this is how it's supposed to go, basically. And shockingly, most of the games here are all random correspondence games from the Correspondence Bundesliga. FIDE charges €100 a year to play under FIDE flag. Just? Damn. So, yeah, the dude's smart not to pay that. Alright, so D6 looks reasonable. So Queen B3 attacking F7. What's the point? Black will defend F7. Oh no, he played Bishop E6. Okay. What about the old Queen D7 defense? Is that bad? Is it that bad? Is it a stupid question? How bad is Queen D7? I mean, maybe it's a stupid question. Maybe Queen E7 is better. Queen E7, Knight C3, Bishop C3. What are you going to do? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I thought Queen D7 might be possible, but I don't really like blocking the bishop. True. This has certain advantages that allows the knight maybe to go to E7. Well, I'm checking the engine right now. Wow. So Queen D7 is better than Queen E7, but Bishop E6 isn't that bad, surprisingly. Let's check the Lichess opening explorer, because this opening is way more common there. Queen E7 most common, Queen F6, almost a third less games than Bishop E6. Wow, everything's been played. This is insane. There's so many games here, and every literal legal move has been played. So Queen F6, of course, that's a normal, speaking of Evans Gambit, Queen F6 is a more Evans Gambit style move. Absolutely. So that seems to be best. But queen d7 also has not been played, and it's playable. Alright. So this move is not as bad as it looks. Takes, takes, and now no games in the Masters database, though that doesn't mean there wasn't any games played in this position. I would be willing to wager, if you have chess base, even chess base online, we'll probably find some random game from like 1870 where this position has been played. This I can't believe this. This could be. Is this in the Gawain Jones like opening? Do you get a Gawain Jones opening like repertoire or like a playbook or something, Mr. Slow? The modern Gigi repertoire. We're still in book here. Mr. Slow plays the combative b takes c. Well, I mean, there's no sense now in taking with a knight because there's no d5 square to go to. This is out of book. So bishop b6 is actually a pretty good move to come up with. You're not forced to take that either. But it is check. Mr. Slow probably didn't want a like lifeless endgame. Takes, takes, queen takes check, queen e7. Queen e7, I don't know, maybe king e7, for example. Knight takes c3, bishop takes c3, pawn takes c3, knight f6. Position is probably close to equal. Yeah, Sun Prism a3, that was also suggested by the computer. Actually, right away, it's a move, which is really wild. Lawrence Webb. I was very briefly a teammate with him in the French team championship. So there's actual games here. A3, it looks like a timeout. Hello, referee, would like a timeout? Queen b3, bishop e6, takes, takes, check, takes here. And then you wanted what? My God, man. Yeah, Mr. Slow he's a psychopath. Knight g5, love it. Totally uncompromising. And black put the bishop on a5. And that kind of helps in a way because if you put it on c5, you could like grab it with knight takes c6, knight takes c5. Although it may not matter objectively. Black now plays bishop b6. By the way, like, what about queen takes b7? Just knight e7. Black is fine. We didn't sacrifice material, so we just give it back. Get it back. Knight e6, queen d7. That's a strong knight. And black can't castle. Like a Sicilian. Yeah. Yeah, there's a very Sicilian Christmas. But isn't there a problem with knight a5 now? Okay, it's your move. But I'm saying, is this a threat to unplug your knight on e6? We've got no way to stop knight a5. If knight a5, we have to put our queen on d5, and then black has c6. But we've seen this team before in the Evans. Definitely. It looks like the queen pivots over here. And there will be no knight e7 because of knight takes g7 check. So the queen can pivot like from d5 to f5 and even back to h3 in some lines. But a4, wow, I did not expect a4. I have to say, like, I didn't think you had time for a move like that. Ripunj Bansal is in the house. He loves to trap my bishops on b6 in the Joko with a4, a5. This is incredible the way there's time for this, though. You know. Oh, we've got all day. Let's just move our... Wow, you can do that. He's paralyzed temporarily. So if a4, knight a5, queen d5, c6, queen f5. This is what I'm talking about. g6 and queen f8 mate. I missed that the first time around. Maybe a slight problem. g6, not really a good idea here. So black would have to play a different move, and he has another move. He has knight h6, conveniently. Knight h6, queen h3. Now he still can't castle. Oh no, oh no, you can also take. Shit. Taking on h6 is too good. a4 is a logical idea. Well, I'm just saying, like, all your pieces are in the back rank, and you're, like, playing a4. It's amazing if that works. It just doesn't seem fair. You're threatening... Are you threatening me? Like, are you actually threatening a5 and take on b7, right? Logical idea. So black decides to develop with knight f6, and now white played a very sensible move, knight d2, guarding central pawn. So you're saying, like, you don't have an active threat here with, like, a5? There's nothing there? Like, knight a5, rook a5, bishop a5, queen takes b7. It's all bullshit. Knight d2. I mean, a4 is also okay because it keeps the threat long term of a5. It's also a white square. Gives a2 to white. The rook lift, Korchnoi. But I don't know, he has to play a5 here. He just probably ran out of useful moves to make. Another problem, though, is what a5 also does is maybe freeze the grants to federal agencies and NGOs. White freezes funding to knight d8. By playing a4, we keep the knight honest. Like, it can't go to d8. If you go to d8, we'll trade and play a5, and then you've got a serious problem. So knight d2, a5 for black, weakening his white squares a bit, like b5. But what else is he going to do? And now bishop a3. There's more choreography to this game than, like, the Bolshoi ballet. Damn, dude. Now he's unfrozen the funding so he can play knight d8. Tariffs imposed on light squares. Exactly, Mr. Coffee. He got in knight d8. You know, we've called off the tariffs. The migrants have been deported back to Colombia. And white plays knight takes d8. Rook takes d8. But Mr. Slow has been improving his position, like, you know, step by step. So at this point, we've played a gambit line where we haven't actually sacrificed anything, and we just have a strong central pawn, and our king is not in the center. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like, at this point, black should have a pawn more, like, to compensate for the bullshit he had to go through, and he doesn't. He doesn't have shit to compensate for the torture he's going through, the hoops he's having to jump through here to make his mission, like, even exist, to stay alive, basically. It's like you're playing a gambit, but you're not up a pawn. You know, you're accepting a gambit, but you're not up a pawn. It's just not good. Mr. Slow has center, safer king, better development. It's a big advantage to white. And now knight c4 and black. Black is creaking. Now we're threatening knight takes d6 check, as well as, or, you know, we're threatening to take on d6 as well as b6. So black is basically like in deep shit. And knight takes e4, anybody? Well, it will probably result in the loss of material. And I don't think that d5 is really a great idea. So, black desperately tries queen f7. Good try. Trying to freeze funding on the knight on c4. Check. That's a problem. Damn. What about a queen exchange? Can I get a queen exchange? He plays this. And now Mr. Slow is relentless, bro. Bishop takes d6. What is this, like a correspondence game? Jesus. Beautiful. Bishop takes d6, c6. Now, black has no center at all. His king's stuck in the middle. Oh my god. And he's like, what did I do wrong? But you have to go here. Keep the knight protected. Black is paralyzed, though. He's just utterly paralyzed. Knight c5. Doesn't that just like lose a piece? Queen takes b6, queen takes c4, queen takes c5. It does. And game over. All business. So I like f3. And Mr. Slow is a wild man with the f4. This is much safer. Just slowly, bring the king up. And don't weaken your white squares. f4, well, we learned this in the first game. I think this is Mr. Slow's first mistake in the game. Definitely too optimistic to play f4 here. I would be far more conservative with f3. But it's over. Yeah, very optimistic with the f4. Oh, it's almost made. f3. Alright, I'm going to take like a very short 4-minute break and be right back. When I get back, we're going to be looking at Pavel Nefedov versus Ray Sawyer, Acerbate, Morales, Sun Prism, and Schumacher. Stay tuned. I'm gonna do this grandpa thing with my hair. Putting my glasses on my hair. Alright. I don't know if Nefedov's here, but we're gonna continue with Nefedov. Thanks again, Mr. Slow, for your donation. All of you who have supported the stream. 42 donated a gift sub. When was that? Earlier. I think I missed it. But that was yesterday. Okay. Stensig donated. Stensig subscribed. Move 11 gifted a gift sub to Juicebox Wizard. Juicebox is probably out by now. This is a club game from Nefedov against Ray Sawyer. Okay, so Nefedov shockingly playing e4, e5, knight f3, and then the Roy Lopez. And then if you want to avoid the exchange Roy Lopez, which is Nefedov's pet line, I guess this is about the best possible move to play. If anything's going to stop the exchange variation, then probably the Cozio defense with knight of g to e7 is going to stop bishop takes c6. So it's very anti-Nefedov. I have only faced this opening in blitz games. I remember Michael Rode used to play this. Only strong player I ever remember playing this. I don't know where the theory is. I saw maybe Rockport play it once, long time ago. Well, that's crazy. Yeah, very old memory of Rockport playing it. Weird how I transpose things in my mind, like some memory I thought was way older than it really is. So I think you can play c3, castles, and d4, all of the above. And obviously knight c3. All moves here. So white has a wide variety of choices. Black can try to play it in a couple different ways. They can put the knight on g6, or they can play it more like a normal Steinitz. They can play g6, d6, a lot of different setups. Sometimes black plays d5 in one move. We'll see that now. This looks strangely familiar to me. c3 feels a little bit slow. And then Uber Driver now, sorry about your timeout earlier, but we had to draw the line in the sand. This time with a valid suggestion. Uber Driver mentioning the possibility of bishop c4. But obviously d5, pawn takes pawn, knight takes. Leads to an Italian game. No. d5, pawn takes, knight takes. What's this about? Yeah, I don't know, Uber Driver. The jury's out on that. After d5. But bishop c4, an interesting suggestion. It does look like d5 was probably the best try. You can't quite play the fried liver here, unfortunately. Alright, anyway, it's a move. But c3 is a standard idea. It looks like the main move for black is a6. As I said, I've only ever played these positions in blitz. I had a game with Curdo, who Uber Driver's familiar with, but it was a different move order. He did it like Steinitz, like Steinitz deferred with a6, d6, then knight e7. So this is a very aggressive move by black. It's kind of crazy. I mean, but you could say, like, okay, d5 seems like black's going extremely, like, crazy aggressive, king in the center. But I mean, c3 is inherently a slow move by white. So I think that it's like a c3 Sicilian. It's inherently a slow move. But white is white, you know, so they're allowed to play a little bit of a slow move. Still, c3, it's constructive. So what do we do now? You can you can take on d5, but then queen takes d5. So queen a4, f6, it transposes to a Ponziani. Yeah, I don't subscribe to queen a4 here. I'd rather just play like d3, to be honest with you. d3 is not so bad. It's not so good, but it's not so bad. You could allow like an endgame with dtc4, dtc4. White is certainly not worse here, but that's not the acid test. So Nefedov takes, opponent takes here on e4. It's like a Ponziani. Can this transpose from a Ponziani? Is that what you're telling me? So let's check it. Now, e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, c3, d5, queen a4, knight e7. No. Queen a4. No. So you can't get this position from a Ponziani move order. Oh, no, bishop e5. Okay. Yeah, it would be like you played bishop e5, and then black plays this. I see. So it actually does transpose. Bishop e5 is not considered a good line, though, for black. For white, I mean. Because specifically of the move d takes c4. So it's like there we're transposing kind of not a great line of the Ponziani, but knight ngd7 makes it like a better line again. c3, okay. d5, knight tc5, knight tc4. Sorry, d takes c4. And now queen a4. So Nefedov might be out of Nefedov book. So queen a4 is possible now, but then queen d5 is a problem, or not. Svetushkin versus Nadanian, and Silvino versus Gufeld. Gufeld, Silvino, 1980. Cuba. So queen d5. Wow, there's even some high-level games where this has happened. Fairly high level. Alright. Interesting. So takes here, and now queen d5, normal. And now what should Nefedov play? By the way, like I just also want to say, like d4 is a natural move. That seems like the most natural move, and Uber Driver would totally play that. No, it's not about you playing best moves in the opening. It's about you knowing your stuff pretty like religiously. It feels like he got you into line you just don't really know, which I'm surprised by. But the Cozio is very rare, It's not easy to surprise you in the opening. It feels like you're out of book. So after knight c5, d takes c4, queen a4, this could get kind of boring because black will take and then we'll have no center. But apparently there's a sneaky move here. Queen f3. Oh yeah, this is a position only Uber Driver would love. No pawn dynamics at all. We can smash black's pawn structure at c6. No, I never suggested you always play the best moves, Nefedov, but it's hard to get you out of what you know. And this guy did that. Queen a4, queen d5, and now c4. Sorry, knight takes c6. Knight takes c6, and now c4. c4 is a horrifying move. What are we supposed to play now? So queen e4 is a big mistake, but you didn't know the trick. You know, this is the trick, apparently. Takes in queen f3 when white is a little bit better. Otherwise, you just, you know, you have equal position. If you recapture at d3, it's equal. Or castles, you're gonna recapture at d3. There's a guy lost with white against Nigel Short. That's embarrassing. Okay. So this feels wrong. Queen a4 feels wrong. And black has queen d5. And now your knight's hanging. It's too late to play. It's too late to play d4. You know, by the way, is this a move? People, you know, inquiring minds want to know. You played queen e2 before. So you played queen e4 even though knowing it wasn't the best move. Is that what you're saying, or you just forgot? What about b takes? Because I was wondering if white has to do something crazy like bishop f1. B takes is interesting. Then my question would be, what do you do about queen g5? So here, if queen g5, oh no, you have queen takes e4 and defend g2. Alright. Or castles, even better. And then here, and queen takes e4. Isn't that convenient? He had it all planned out. Alright, anyway. Black could take with the pawn on c6. It's not as safe. He takes with the knight. And now white to move. I don't like the move c4 at all. But maybe Nefedov has an idea. c4 looks like a beginner mistake, weakening d4 irreparably. It was played in one other game. Yeah, no, truthfully it looks like we've got problems, but maybe that pawn on e4 needs to go. It needs to go, like yesterday. I will do anything to get rid of that pawn on e4. Maybe we even have to, like, temporarily sacrifice a pawn or something. But I would probably castle and then plan on playing, you know, something to attack that pawn. But Nefedov move, I mean, this is very surprising. I get it, though. I see what you're doing there. Now I understand. I've seen the light. Nefedov's like Bobby Fischer. He's willing to give squares to get squares. So he wants to play c4 to bring his knight to c3. And he's willing to give up control of d4 and d3 in order to do it. This is extreme and possibly justified move. Queen g5 is scary. Dude, what the heck is going on? Queen g5, bishop takes c6 check. Okay. Queen g5, bishop takes c6 check. Pawn takes, queen takes check. King d8, queen takes a8, and our bishop's pinned. So he goes here. And another dude went here in a game. It's a question of which bishop you want to block. There's also the computer move, queen c5. I'm just kidding. I don't know if it's a computer move, but it's often suggested by engines. So this move keeps e4 protected. Bishop takes c6. A very surprising move, but Nefedov apparently didn't want to wait for black to play bishop d7 and avoid the doubling of pawns. So he plays bishop takes c6, b takes c, and now, in terms of control of the center, it looks like white is in trouble. You know, I mean, all four central squares are right now like a little bit more in black's sphere of influence. And I don't think that the double pawns really matter that much. So your only hope is like quickly ganging up on that e4 pawn. Or else I think you're slightly worse. Castle, and now bishop d7. I mean, doesn't this guy want to get his king out of the center? Because bishop d7 doesn't seem like a priority to me. Getting your king out of the center is a fucking priority, bro. Right, outside the sphere of influence. Well, for the moment, but not forever. It'll be very influenced in a minute. Once he castles, if he wakes up and plays bishop c5, were you going to play b4? You could. I don't think it's a good move. He has bishop d4. So my point is pretty obvious, right? This dude needs to castle kingside and like yesterday. But he sits there and he plays bishop d7. It's like, are you serious? Bishop d7. That bishop is fine. The rook can go to b8. He doesn't need to move the bishop. The pawn is protected. What's your problem? Play bishop d6, bishop c5, or bishop e7. That's the only question, is like which square you put your bishop on here. There is no other question. And I think this is most active, controlling d4. And I think that I like black. Although maybe it's not so simple. This also prevents the f-pawn from moving. I mean, bishop c5 is clearly best. This allows bishop d4. And now your c-pawn's hanging. So, knight c3, queen takes c4. Sphere of influence. Jeez, dude, this is a really bad move, bishop d7. The computer doesn't criticize that. But I want to know what the hell that does, you know? Wasting time. Knight c3 now waits one more move closer to serious threats against e4. And now black plays bishop e7. Well, not the most active square. As I said, no time to play soft, passive. Now if rook e1, yeah, I mean, if the guy has to play f5, I think his position is sketchy, right? So it looks like you could have gone rook e1 first. Instead, you just played d3 first. And he could, what, take? He could have taken here. And there's some fishy line with bishop g5. Playing to trap his queen. But, you know, even there, black can probably sack the queen. I mean, obviously, I would imagine this is like, okay, maybe not this exact way to sack the queen, but whatever, okay. Rook e1, castles or something. I imagine there are positions where you can sack the queen for two bishops and a rook, for a bishop and rook and pawn or something. Maybe this particular example doesn't work. Bishop g5 is interesting. But you could also play something simpler. Anyway, f5, d takes e4, f takes e4, and now bishop f4. Very reasonable looking move. I mean, it looks like black is Nefedov and white is someone else. It looks like black played the Schliemann. If you showed me the game, I'd say it was like Mr. Slow versus Nefedov, or Lopez Schliemann. At this point, black is pretty much ruining their position by not getting the king out of the center in time. And finally, he gets out of the center. Thank God. c7 isn't really much of a pawn to win, but it's something. And it also wins control of d6. d6 could matter in the long run. Anyway, Nefedov's bishop's hanging, so what's he going to do? Bishop takes c7. And now the guy plays bishop c5. Okay, like, serious question. Why is the guy okay with playing bishop c5 in this position, but he couldn't play it before? You know what I mean? What would have been wrong with playing bishop c5 the first time when it was actually good? It's very weird. Like, what was he thinking when he played bishop e7? Was there something he was afraid of? What was he afraid of? There must have been... And why did he play bishop d7? Wait. Ask a question. Ask question. We should ask questions, right? Why did he play bishop d7? I don't know. You know, honestly. Why didn't he play this? And what is he afraid of? Like queen a5 or something? I'm just trying to understand, like, what this guy was afraid of. Because bishop c5, you're like begging to play bishop. You're begging him to play bishop c5 here. This is such a good move. What in the world is he afraid of? b4? Again, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Bishop d4. So it's really Black wasting time, and then waking up and saying, "Oh, hey, c5 would be a good score for my bishop." Now he almost has compensation for the sacrificed pawn. Bishop g3 and now e3. But Nefedov's king is pretty safe, actually. It looks like. So this guy's going to be very fortunate to draw. He's down a pawn and has the worst structure. And now rook takes f1 check. Looks like he's going to trade both rooks and try to mate Nefedov at g1. But in general, as we know, trading pieces when you're down material is not a great idea. So clearly Nefedov is going to play queen d1, happily exchange rooks, and be up a pawn with a better structure. It's not clear white has enough compensation. In fact, Nefedov traded first, which is just dandy. Check and then go back, and you're defending g1. So black can do like a stupid threat. Look at his king. His king is wide open. King g8, queen e1, queen d4, and now you don't want to trade, And now knight a4. I was expecting b3, but black has bishop b4. Although that's actually okay. You could play b3. The problem is after bishop b4, bishop e5, you'd have to go into the mate. You'd have to get mated. Damn, that sucks. Alright, it doesn't work. Never mind, b3 is not possible. You saw that. So knight a4, that's a little awkward. You could... Yeah, I mean, this is ugly. Knight a4. What's going on with that pawn now? Damn, I can't believe the guy didn't play queen takes c4. He had a chance to win his pawn back and he didn't take it. Maybe he just thought there was a trick. He gets that pawn back, he's almost okay. White's only a tiny bit better, and maybe, you know, God could win this endgame with a better structure. Take, h3. This objectively should be a draw. Damn, Nefedov had to give the pawn back. It's unbelievable. After all that, you're up a pawn, you have to give the pawn back. Is knight a4 really your best move? Another question I have, Nefedov, what about exchanging rooks? I assumed it was good. I mean, if you go queen d1 first, yourself, that could avoid the exchange of rooks in some way. That could play like bishop g4. Then rook takes f8 check and queen d8 check. So here's an important moment. You have this tension that exists. Is it best to exchange rooks? Wow. I can't believe the computer thinks that black is better here. This is a tiny bit better. I can't believe you're not better here. Wow. It's really a draw. I thought the structure, Nimzovich would be disappointed. I thought the structure would be more important than that bishop pair. That's really unfair. So he plays king g8, queen e1, queen d4, knight a4, bishop b4 double question mark. Oh shit. It turns out that Nefedov's opponent was like 1200. But he played the whole game like he was like 1900. Until he hung a bishop on like move 37. He probably was like an 8-year-old. And Nefedov was sweating bullets that it would be a draw. He played bishop e4, hung a piece, game over. So basically, it's a draw. So not only did he not take on c4, he hung a piece here. No, he thought he had a back ranker, you know. Wow. I mean, it happens to everybody. So black he has to take the pawn back. He has to take the pawn back. And he's fine. But it's a draw after knight c5. Should be a draw. White's better, if anything. Now. Alright, Nefedov. Yeah, queen a4 looks slightly dubious, but I think the biggest question is really the opening. You know, how to handle this Cosio. c3 makes a lot of sense, but so do the other moves. Pretty much every move makes sense, except for Uber Driver's bishop c4. That seems playable, but to be fair, I think that like this d5 is probably good enough. d4, even d4 I've played in blitz. You got to admit that d4 makes some sense. Destroying the enemy's center. That can't be wrong. Castles can't be wrong, you know, for sure. If he had offered a draw, it probably would have been a draw. So that's how he Nefedov sneakily won this game by not offering a draw. That's a new tactic. Alright. Usual tactic from Nefedov is offering draws to piss the opponent off. And then, you know, they fall into the trap of like wanting revenge and like getting mad and going on tilt and losing. Anyway, interesting game, Nefedov. Thanks for sharing. We've got Asterbate up with Opa. Opa 135. Hopa. Alright, it's Asterbate or nothing. Yeah, I love seeing this. But Asterbate doesn't try to take advantage of knight c6. No one submits games that they lost. Interesting. That's right. Tells you about people. Wonder if anyone ever plays the wing gambit here with b4. That would be funny. Very unsound. Someone unsound. Alright. A3. A3 is better. I like d4. And we all know that e4 is a normal move. Asterbate stays with b3. So you're downgrading your Zuckertort opening to kind of like an Owen defense in reverse by doing this. You will submit my OTB game as soon as I lose one. Oh shit. Yeah, the thing is, yeah, Fancy Chess, he just doesn't lose, bro. %50 chance he will rage quit. Yeah, nice one. He doesn't lose. b3, this is bad. Well, we've talked about this like moves like d6, for example. d6, b3 is definitely bad. You know, I don't think you should do it unless you're Pavel Blatny. Another move like f6 is not the place to be playing b3. You know. So Asterbate has to understand, like, there's certain moves that I think b3 is not as good against. Knight c6 is one of them. Black is already, like, kind of fighting for e5. So I think now you may want to shift gears and play something a little different. But anyway, alright. We're playing the Owen defense up a tempo. After e5, we can't prevent e5. He's got it in. And now most people play bishop b2, and we've seen some games already with this. bishop e2, e4, knight d4, and then the craziness starts with queen f6. And that's where our crazy very briefly moderator has the game of the Chinese Grandmaster from Vegas 2018, yeah, 2018 Vegas. But anyway, you could also try knight e5, and then if queen f6, knight c4. This is very strange. I kind of like that. That's funny. This is a funny line. Oh, DeSantis played this. Look. Alright, anyway. So Astrobate plays e3. That has the advantage of preventing e3 by black. Why on earth you are not a subscriber? Yeah, really. So e3. Yeah, all of you need to be subscribers. I'm sorry. So e3 and now e4. And Astrobate has had this before. This is even worse. Because now after knight d4 we have to do like c3. Knight d4, queen f6, bishop b2, bishop c5. And we transpose back to Li Rufeng versus Breckenridge. Yeah. The original game is 1986. Gerard Welling. He's been playing in some recent World Seniors. Dutch I am. Alright. Anyway, e5, e3 not so good, e4 is good. Black plays a6 prophylactic move, preventing bishop b5, so not entirely bad. Bishop b2, and now e4 is the most commonly played move. But I'm not sure that e4 necessarily, makes sense with a6. So it looks like d6 is better. This is better. Nakamura Caruana, 2017. d6 makes more sense. This Nakamura Caruana game actually went e4. I'm not sure a6 makes a lot of sense in this position. Anyways, I like d6. Astrobate plays c4 now, turning it into an English, and admittedly, I don't think that a6 really plays that much here. Black might be able to play like rook b8 and chip away with b5 later, but for the most part, a6 isn't the most useful move in the world in this position. Swati Gate, I think I lost against her like a million years ago, in 1999, an Open in Spain. c4, h6, knight c3, knight f6. Yeah, I don't know about h6. I mean, h6 is kind of weird. Why would black play h6? He just likes the Basman element of that. h6 is black's first really strange move. I would sooner play g5, to be honest. At least with g5 we can get our bishop g7 on. But to be fair, g6 is a normal thing to do. Black setup makes sense after g6, bishop g7. h6 is silly. Knight c3, knight f6. So what's the point of h6? And now Astrobate plays the Obsession. We should call it, we should come up with a name for this. The Astrobate's Folly. When you put the bishop on d3 and bring it back to b1 so that you can threaten mate in 1 with queen c2. Astrobate's Folly. Now I do this sometimes as black in the Sicilian against closed setups like the Bodler. This is actually not that bad. But I think that what you should do is probably play a3 and maybe not bishop b1, but just like queen c2. where we don't need to retreat the bishop. The bishop will just stay where it is, and will back up further support of e4, while also making sure that black doesn't get the knight on b4 or whatever. But he's got this whole thing that he's obsessed with, doing this every game. Now in this case, black played knight b4, which, you know, might be a mistake. Well, obviously bishop e1. Oh, actually the dude, wow. Bangtown, California with 5 gift subs. Welcome to Bangtown, California, home of the world's largest collection of gangbangers. Paul 1 e4, fancy chess, got a gift sub, see? Sharpshooter, grab bash, and cookied. Dude, knight b4 c5 makes some sense. The guy actually gets the pawn to c5. Thank you, Bangtown. 5 gift subs. That rocks. So knight b4 wasn't so bad. Maybe, in retrospect, if you want to do this, Astrobate, in the future, perhaps you should do it in a different way. Then again, if you play a3, black could play e4. And I don't know if that pawn's overextended or not. You'll Skinner, everything's well, thank you. Damn, Astrobate. Knight f6, thank you, Bangtown. Bishop d3, knight b4, bishop e1, c5. Getting in c5 justifies knight b4. a3 by white, the knight kicks back, and now you have superior control of e4. And when that knight rolls through town, like a tumbleweed, through Bangtown, or Las Vegas, or whatever, whatever dehydrated city we're talking, we're going to open up, you know, the hot springs here for those 2 bishops. Game submission is full for tonight, I guess? I don't know. I mean, if you submit something, that's definitely the last one. We'll try. But Astrobate, you played here h3. What should you do? No, I don't like bishop b1, but he had to. You had to. Yeah, I don't know. I think I would probably castle. Then you get in that pin, though. The pin of death. So let's say bishop g4, h3, bishop h5, g4, knight takes g4, h takes g4, bishop takes g4. That's not sound. I don't think that's sound. Just whatever. He can't sacrifice a piece there for nothing. I think we have to come to the conclusion that it's possible that h3 isn't necessary. Alright, h3, bishop e6, and now you went totally over the top. Barnum and Bailey, Brooks Brothers, whatever circus this is. That's a terrible move, man. g4 looks really weakening. Not the worst move ever, but not good. I mean, I don't think that this can be right. You know, especially, you know, if you think about the fact that he's played h6. He's almost like preemptively absorbed that. You're not really threatening anything. I can't abide by g4 here. I can't imagine that's a good move. It's playable. You're like drunk Pavel Blatny. g4. And now black just completely lost his mind. I mean, what do you do when the opponent... You know, actually, maybe he didn't lose his mind, but why not queen c7? I mean, if you're going to put the queen somewhere, why put the queen on b8? He went here to play for b5. Interesting. Alright. This looks weird. Maybe it's not that bad. You know, I think he should play queen c7, defend the e5 square, and then prepare to push d5, or else you sack a pawn. Can we get a pawn sack, maybe? D5 takes, knight takes, knight takes. This isn't a pawn sack, actually. The answer to a flank advance is a strike in the center, which means that you might have to pull the trigger on the Grob in this position. You would do it too, wouldn't you? You would do that, wouldn't you? I think you have to actually play G5 and just go full Grob. You grab him by the Grob. This might not be that bad, actually. And if that's the case, then black maybe shouldn't go with D5. But the problem is takes, knight takes, and now we're threatening to take out the light square bishop. Black would have to play D4. Allow this, and allow his light squares to go completely. But he would kill your bishop on B2. So that's kind of an interesting exchange. Yeah, the computer thinks that black is better. The dead bishop on B2 outweighs black's weakening on the light squares in this position. It's very hard to ever get your bishop out. So it looks like you'd have to not do that, and you're in trouble. Shit. So what's the conclusion, Asterbait? Anybody? G4 is not good. Again, shocking but true. I know it's hard to believe. I'm not allowed to copy and paste this. That's weird. Alright, there. Copy. No, the conclusion from concrete analysis is that G4 is a bad move, because the dude can punk you with D5 and you're screwed. That's the final conclusion. Anyway, it is what it is. You shouldn't have played G4. But luckily he played the really brilliant Queen B8, which is a little slow. Normally like Rook B8, Knight H4, B5, consistent. And now Knight F5. And you're lost. You're losing your C-pawn with no compensation. Queen F3. Desperado. Damn, actually, why don't you just start with E4, Queen F3, Bishop C4. Now he's playing Queen F3. No fool's mate for him. We totally caved in over here. Black just needs to be careful. Oh man, I love this. I love this guy. This is an amazing move by black now. You think white wants D4 in the strip? Actually, Goo, that's a very interesting concept that you bring up there. Because I like to teach it this way. There's two different ways to deal with that type of structure. The closed Sicilian sort of Boffinic pawn structure. And I think they're both equally valid. Like one, you take what they give you. So you play on the other color. Like Asterbait's sort of doing in this game, but just not well. Which is basically you take the white squares and you kill them on the white squares. The other way to approach it is to try to crack it. It's like hitting it head on. Yes, so playing for D4 in the structure itself would be valid. It's like playing for D5 against the closed Sicilian or something. But this guy gets full credit for the following move. I love this move. King D7. Who's this? This is a brilliant move, King D7. That's a great move. Full credit. Rook G1. And now, I honestly think maybe taking with the queen would be better. On B3. But this is good too. But unfortunately, it does close the lines a little bit. You know, now this bishop is safe. So Asterbate was totally screwed, but he gets creative now. Bishop e4. Good control of d5. That should be captured. It's a light square bishop, and it's an important piece. This guy should take. The king is relatively safe at d7, especially after getting rid of the light square bishop. But here he makes a mistake. Like, why not take that bishop? On general grounds, he thought, oh, I don't want to open up my opponent's like bishop on b2. I mean, dude, that's an important piece. He should have taken it. The knight on f6 is doing nothing special, and after knight takes c4, black is clearly winning. But this move seems really hesitant. Queen c7, rook c1, rook b8. Black's still winning, but you know, the longer he like, you know, the more he misses winning moves, the more chance he's going to mess it up somehow and lose. Knight a4. White's position is. It looks like I was, you know, playing this game after a game I would play after I had like 5 bottles of wine and I was barely conscious. But still, there's some semblance of coordination. You know, you see the white's pieces are still almost coordinated. I mean, if only we got in g5, if only the knight wasn't hanging on a4 and we were down 2 pawns. White almost has some threats here. Maybe a sacrifice on the pawn chain to take out the other pawn. I mean, to be fair, king d7 is fairly safe, but it's not the safest position. But this move, now he plays d5. This is like maybe even good, but dangerous, you know. He didn't need to do that. Clearly he didn't need to do that. He's just waving a red flag in front of the bull here. White still probably lost, you know, no question. But it's, you know, it's a 1500 against a 1600. White is objectively lost. He goes rook takes c5. Knight takes e4. Then what happened? Queen takes e4. Oh my god. What is this? You're down a queen. He's going to win down a queen. Rook c3, queen a5. White's completely lost. Completely lost. Check. Knight takes e4. 100 times lost. And black could just sacrifice his queen here with queen takes c5 and be winning up a piece. If he sacks his queen, he's up a piece and a rook. He drops g7 bishop with check. Oh my god. Asterbate didn't see it. Oh no, and now double check. And this wasn't even time pressure, man. The guy dropped all of his pieces. Oof. Oh no. Okay, it was ugly. It was ugly. It was really ugly. It shouldn't be taken too seriously. Alright, Asterbate, that was the ugliest game we've seen in a long time. We got Morales up. That wasn't a quality game that we're talking. It was just an attractive final position where, you know, you beat a guy down a queen. That was horrible. Yeah, Asterbate, that was like watching a car wreck in slow motion. Alright, Morales is black. I thought you were going to actually like pull it out, you know, instead of like losing your queen. It was totally it was like, it felt suspenseful, and then you lost your queen. It was already bad before that. So d4, bishop g7, this is Morales playing black. And now there's this tricky move, I don't know if it's good. Tate used to play this. d5. There's like knight takes d5. How does it go? Knight takes d5. Does black play c6 or e6? This line always seemed kind of like dubious to me. So what's up? What's up with knight takes d5? It's c6. So white should be a little bit better here, by the way. In this endgame, queen takes d4, queen takes d4, bishop takes d4. Did you see that? There's actually Vachier. No, Vachier played bishop d3 against Pankratov in 2019. The idea is that maybe this pawn on e4 gives white an advantage in the center. So I think the whole line is a little bit dubious, but whatever. Okay, it's fun. E takes d5, and now we kind of transpose. We're transposing to a sort of Scandinavian, my favorite, or you know, Caro-Kann. And not a Caro-Kann technically, but it's like a Caro-Kann. It's a Scandinavian gambit. Bishop c4, knight d7, queen f3. So queen f3, it looks like it's very uncommon. I mean, knight b6 is coming. So it looks like most people just play knight f3. There's also bishop b3. If you play bishop b3, knight b6, now white can play queen f3. There's Pankratov again. He's everywhere. Chatalbashev has some games. He was at the World Senior 50. Just qualified. But knight on bd7. Maybe this is a bad move order for white. No, it will transpose, right? Knight b6, bishop b3. Oh! Okay, so bishop b3 transposes to Morozevich, Pankratov, Van Forest, Chatalbashev, some other Chatalbashev game. Chatalbashev used to play the Pirts all the time. This is a modern, I guess. Alright, so knight b6. I was on the same team with him like 1 year in the Hungarian team championship. I just caught him playing a couple games. Bishop b5 check is a new move, apparently. But it's inconsistent, right? Like, how is white keeping d5 protected? Doesn't make tons of sense. I mean, this is pretty much obvious. He played queen f3. I mean, he should hold on to the pawn on d5. So it's a lot like one of those Caro-Kann. Here, queen g3, bishop f5. Even if black gets the pawn back, they're never equalizing. And this is one of the reasons why I don't like the knight f6 Scandinavian, and I quit playing it. Because, like, strategically, you're always worse. Even if you get your pawn back, you're still worse. You know, that's the problem. I mean, you're getting this back, but white is better because of the pawn on d4. So it's not a great opening. But anyway, it's like a fast game or something. This was 10. What was this? 6, so it's 3 plus 2. Okay, so this is really fast. 3 plus 2, bishop b5 check sucks. And now white played seemingly like semi-random move, bishop f4. This is always nice, though. I think that we've had some games with like decent positional players who will do this in these structures. Just go bishop e5 and sit on black's position. It neutralizes the bishop on g7. Not so bad, right? We're going to be backward. Black's going to be backward along the e file, and we still don't have an answer to the powerful pawn at d4. So it looks like bishop f4 is pretty good. You didn't panic, but I have a question. No, if you take on b5, he takes with the knight, you take on d5. And now, like, maybe he has some move, like c4. But what if you take on d5 right away? That doesn't work either because of c7. You can't take on d5 right away. He just takes back, he's threatening c7. But you could do this, right? You could do this, this, and this. or one of the knights takes d5, and now you're obviously threatening the bishop at f4. Right, you're threatening knight takes f4, so he can't do this, where it's not dangerous, or is it? You know, knight takes f4, queen takes f4. Now, obviously, you could consider sacrificing pawn on c7. Maybe not consider is the word here. The word is king d7. Just kidding. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. The king is safe on d7. We saw this in Acerbate's game, right? No. I'm just kidding about king d7. I think we should sack a pawn. It looks pretty good, actually. I don't think this is even a pawn sacrifice. White has no development. No, this is terrible for white. Let's take with the queen. And the only way to avoid an exchange of queens would be queen to e8. I don't think I want to do that. I'm going to take the pawn back. We have a good game after this. Alright. So that's good for black. So why don't you just take on b5? It's a bullet game, that's why. 3 plus 2. a6, you're getting your pawn back, hopefully anyway. But what if white doesn't exchange bishops? Well, he still has problems. Alright. Takes, queen takes d7, and then d6. This is one of those moves that's kind of like... Alright. I don't really understand how this really helps white. Why is this a good move for white? Because he just doesn't want to have control of e5. He's like, no, I don't want to be slightly better with control of e5. I mean, after this move, white is better. There's no question, right? You have to castle, and it's a simple position where white is a little bit better. But like this move, you've got to ask yourself the question, like, what is this, a one-move threat? I mean, now black is probably fine. You completely defeat the purpose of playing bishop f4. Why is my bishop on f4? It used to be able to go to e5, but now it can't at all. So d6 is a horrible move here, and now black is probably better. You have the c4 square. You have a central advantage. It's simple. h3, fine. Now you play d5, but I don't know that you should do it. It's not bad. d5 is definitely not bad, but it's also not the most flexible continuation, because you have access to c4. You can just go to the c file, tie him down here. I think you should keep your flexibility. d5 also gives up that e5 square again. I wouldn't touch it. You know, you think that d5 is a menace for him? Maybe. If you think that d5 is a threat, okay, fine. You have a lot of moves, though. You could freaking play queen c6 if you want to. If you're worried about d5, then queen c6. Queen c6, bc6, and black is slightly better. That's one option. But I'm not sure he can tactically get away with d5 here. He's so behind in development. Do you really think he can pull that off? I mean, if he goes d5, let's say you play rook c8 and he plays d5, can he really pull this off? Maybe. Alright, I mean, you have queen f5, for example, and then white has queen, or rather, knight to d4. I get it. d5 is a safe move. It's a safe move. Alright, castles, and now, well, you're better, no matter what. b3, knight d6, you're better, except the fact that he has knight takes d5. Fuck. He missed knight takes d5. That sucks. Yeah. He missed knight takes d5. It's a blitz game. He played the good positional move, bishop e5. This is a funny move, like rook fc8. Is the idea to play this or something? Because everybody expected rook a c8, but you've been holding back on that. Maybe you want to play b5 and keep the other rook on the queen side. You have to watch out for knight a4, knight b6, by the way. That's okay though. You have rook c6, f3, takes, and now this seems to be a problem. You have queen c6 right away. Now I'm curious how white would defend against that. Yeah, he doesn't have a defense against that. He missed it. This sucks, but you're still fine. Now you're still better, probably. This plus the weaknesses involved in playing f3. White's still worse. That's kind of annoying. Queen d6, but this compensates. c3. You're slightly better. Though I don't really want to do this, knight e6. We'd rather do something more active. Your knight is strong on f4 and he can't play g3. Doesn't seem like you should retreat it unless you have to. You have to consider the exchange sack here. But truthfully, it's gambling. You know, I think this is just gambling. You probably have compensation. Yeah. I don't know how sound this would be. On the previous move, I mean. Computer wants to play b6. It's very safe. Keeping off of c5. This is another way of keeping off of c5. But he's coming back to the center now. Oof. So what are we going to do about this? You have to stop this knight d3 business. We can't allow him to play knight d3, knight c5. None of that can be allowed. You have tactics with like queen b6, but it looks, you know, one trick pony here. Knight d3, rook takes c3. That's not a plan. What about you getting a knight to c4? 1, 2. It takes a long time. Here. But then he'll get a knight on c5. Okay, it's just an endgame. And now the dude's c3 pawn is dead. Wow. Nah, he can't save it. Can't save it, it's gone. Every variation seems to lose a pawn for white here. Was that important? That's his anti-Scandinavian central pawn. Nice. I like this. Prong. It's a TV antenna. Yeah. Nefedov couldn't have done it better. Very solid game, Morales. See, when you don't lose on time, you're capable of some good chess. There were some mistakes, of course. Still, you're winning. Oof. Still, his king is so bad. You're threatening like f5, e4, f3. So he has rook c5. It's a pity to have to let his king off the back rank. I was thinking maybe we just go up. Is king b5 good enough? It might be. The problem is after check king a4, it looks like he's gonna survive here. That could be a really major mistake. So you were You were actually probably right to go after his pawns. And the 3 pawns is better than 2 pawns. And 3 pawns is a lot better than 1 pawns. Oh no, it's not mate. This is not mate. Unfortunately for him. Alright guys, good game. Guys, we got 3 more games left. Sun Prism, Drown the Clown, and Mule Skinner. Thanks, Morales. Good game. Dubious line, but okay. Sometimes we have to play dubious stuff. It's fun. I was playing the Knight of Scandinavia forever. I mean, getting positions like that on a regular basis. It's playable, but it's not, not great if white knows exactly what they're doing. In general, I wouldn't play d5. Well, I don't think you suck in endgame, you just need time. Sun Prism, on the other hand. Alright, Sun Prism getting better all the time. Pion Sutsi. Playing white against playing black against Pion Sutsi. Okay, French defense. E4, E6. Because the French defense is refuted. That loser who made the blog about the French being, and then he has to make another blog about how the French isn't refuted. Get him out of here, dude. Get these people out of here. Cancel the CM title while you're at it. It's just an excuse to make a blog about his first blog, how his first blog was wrong. It's just, he just wants attention, dude. It's so gross. E4, E6, and then Knight F3, which I play a lot. D5, and now he trades, and I mean, objectively, probably Knight C3 is our best with white. But okay, gutless roadkill variation. Yeah, I'm here. You gotta almost consider taking with the queen. I hate the exchange variation so much. But you can play with c5 maybe to try to mix it up a little, depending on the line. So after e takes d5, d4. So here's one question: when and if should we go to try to play c5? Probably not right away. But wait for white to play bishop d3 or something. So if knight f6, bishop d3, c5. Traditionally, your move bishop d6 is the main move. But knight f6 is a Petrov. d3, d6, d3, d4, d5. One of those d3 Petrov things. If I play knight f6, it transposes to that. My question is, after bishop d3, is c5 good? And it looks like it is. Here, Nakamura lost to Abasov, but that doesn't make the position bad. I saw a game recently where white took on c5, and I was looking at this with Yabatis today. They took on c5 because they're afraid black's going to play c4, but that's silly. Anyways, I mean, bishop d6 is the main move, the traditional method. Now white can play c4, and that's the best move. But now white plays the coward style. And so now, okay, if you play knight e7, you've got Rajabov versus the Tooth Fairy. A very old game where I kind of looked at it as a model for how you play against a player who wants to draw with white. I told the story many times. Rajabov just went into the end game against this guy who played millions and millions of draws, and the dude he just outplayed him in an equal end game. What does top French defense player do? What we're doing here now is the aggressive Aliakin approach where maybe black will castle queenside. First problem is that white is white and we're black, and his attack is a little faster. Second problem is that this isn't a surprise, and anyone who's well prepared should know that black's going to try to play aggressively and castle maybe queenside. So oftentimes this results in black doing worse than we would expect. Mr. Coffee tried to play some of these and had some trouble. It's not so easy. So in retrospect, I think all the moves are on the table here. But maybe the safe sort of 97 is okay. Knight c6, and then white plays a really unusual move. They're normally castling here, but the guy goes knight c3, and I don't know what this is now. The idea for white would be to Joseph Henry Blackburn it with like the knight coming over. Question, what happens if knight b4? Another question, what happens if knight b4, bishop e2, bishop f5? And the question about the question would be if I went knight b4 and I went for your bishop, would I be wasting too much time in the process? So this is again very Petrov-like possibility of knight b4. There's your answer. If it's good enough for Robbie Marcos, it's good enough for me. Marcos is one of the strongest Serbian. He's Hungarian from Serbia. One of the strongest Serbian GMs. I guess if knight b4 is good enough for him, it's okay. But it doesn't mean it's the best move necessarily. It happens to be the best move. Alright. So this is a lesson to you that this is actually good. If bishop e2, you have bishop f5. The question is really the time that it takes to go after that. White can also opt to give you the light square bishop. So Tadic, I think it's like an older player, but I'm not sure. He gave him the bishop. Not easy to even get a draw against Marcus Robbie. Very strong player. Bishop g5. There's one game. And then castles is the other one. And he takes. Queen takes d3. And now c6. So here's one game where white actually lost a very much weaker player. Lost with white. But Tadic Marcos, white played knight e2. Now if I can play for a draw, this is the logical move. Now this could be a prearranged draw for all we know, but I mean, 2600s don't necessarily hand out draws to 2400s like candy. Here, knight e5, and then bishop e6. Yeah, I would assume if he was happy with the draw, he would play f6 probably. But black wants more. Anyway, all right, it's cool. So white played knight c3. You didn't go knight b4. Instead, bishop g4. And the Windows update is pissing me off. They're pissing me off. Leave me alone, you bastards. Bill Gates. It's fucking with my computer. So, but anyway, okay. You've got to realize there's a possibility of white playing knight b5. He can do the same thing you should have done with knight b5. But your opponent doesn't seem aware of that, which is pretty weird. So this boils down to some kind of crazy... Oh no! Oh no! It's Fionita. Fionita is playing white. She crossed 2200? Damn, dude. Wow. h3, bishop takes f3. You're not obligated to exchange here and go for that pawn. Nor am I sure you should. It's a sad, unfortunately you can't play bishop f5. If you feel real adventurous, you might... Acerbate might play h5 in this position, but I think that might not be... I don't take responsibility for what happens if one plays h5 in this particular position. The obvious question would be pawn takes, and then knight e5. But it's actually kind of a little scary for white, I would think. Not enough, though. Okay. Anyways, okay, bishop h5 is what I expect. And the exciting Fionito got a draw with a 2274. Belgian Teen Championship or something. But you took... So, okay, what's the point now? You took 2274 didn't take. But let me just ask the question, why is he not taking? After takes, this square is not available to white. This square is not available to white. h5 is available. So we need to answer the question. And g4 is available, okay. But you have knight e6 just guarding the pawn. Wow. So knight e6 just protects your g7 pawn. And white has sacrificed his central pawn to get here. Wow. So what are we saying that this is bullshit? Are you saying that white's pawn sacrifice is bullshit? Queen g4, knight e6? Well, you might be right. You might be right, man. I am not buying this. That other guy was just overwhelmed by Fionito's personality. Queen takes f3, knight takes d4. Yeah, of course, why would black not play that in the other game? I mean, this isn't bad, but seriously, there's a chance to take this, and then knight takes. What can white do? Queen e3? That's not better. You're still doing the same thing. Queen d1 doesn't do anything. You're just... The only thing white can do is like play for f4 or something, but I mean, it looks really dangerous. White is just down a pawn. So this is the only active move. And now... And again, the only active plan white has is f4, f5. Yeah, I mean, the dude should have taken the pawn, but I guess he was afraid to lose to her. Or take any risk or something. But in general, when you're offered a free central pawn, you should take it. But seriously, white, I mean, this is the only move that really makes a lot of sense. But it's also very weakening for white. It's possible it's better to just be down a pawn, not try to go for anything. So is your opponent expecting you to like castle kingside here? Because that's a fantasy. You're not castling queenside. I mean, you were totally prepared to castle queenside anyway. It's almost like he's not playing f4 because he thinks you're going to just castle kingside and let him, point his bishops at your king. But rook e1, big deal. Yeah, queen e7, exactly. If f4, you can even play g6. I'm okay with this. I think at this point I would expect white to go for it, and then I would probably play g6 and bfd. Does he have enough? No. Like, for example, f5 takes, bishop takes f5, knight takes f5, queen takes f5, c6, and white is losing, you know, end of story. You're getting away, and you're just up a central pawn. So white tries this bishop g5 instead, undermining d5. But you're telling me that you even have bishop c5 check, so that's actually not... No. Only if he plays f4, duh. Okay, so castles or c6. What about c6? Okay, white is playing for these some weird piece threats. He might be able to play like rook d1 and do some kind of crazy sacrifice. We've got to be a little bit careful here. You will also, in fact, have to consider... You probably have to seriously consider the possibility of taking that at some point. Not necessarily right away, but let's think about this for a second. You could take on g5. White has to take back. You know, and whereas before it wasn't possible, I think you can actually castle now, because white has significantly less attacking pieces, you know, in your face here. And you've got the bishop h2 tactic, so we can't take on d5. Maybe with one, you know, last piece on the board, this is fine. You know, you can just castle kingside, and you're better. I think you can take. But you castled queenside. He hasn't played f4. But anyways... Now I'm a little bit worried about like bishop takes e7 and bishop f5. So bishop e7, what do you do? Doesn't he have this? You have to take with the bishop, and the white has bishop f5, no? You're going to have to give him the pawn back. So you have to play king d8 and give him the pawn back. Bishop takes d5, pawn d5. And you're better. At least he gets his pawn back. It's not great, right? Queen takes, rook takes, bishop f6. Better for black, but white can probably still hang on for a draw, possibly. But I think he should be happy to get his pawn back at all. After queenside castles, white plays bishop e5. Well, that's a neat move. But fancy chess doesn't win games. c6. And then, yeah, fancy chess syndrome. Forcing you to play effectively what I would call a useful move. And now you take. Yeah, and now he's got nothing, you know, and the only thing is that your king is on the queen side. It's still fine. What's white going to do, like b4, b5? It's going to take forever to organize any counterplay. I don't like f6. If we can avoid playing that, it weakens your white squares a little. But I'm not sure we can manage without it. You know, the problem is like g6 allows them in here. If like your bishop was on g7 or something, you'd be in good shape. I don't know if you can do without that. Yeah, you have to do something. But what's up with f6? He takes on g7. So that's probably not a good move anyway. Is he threatening you? You can't play knight g6, but let's say you move your rook or something. So maybe be more patient here. You could play rook d, g8. The DGs. Delta gamma. So we go delta gamma with rook d, g8. We're one move away from consolidation. Looks decent. Yeah. No, I mean, you clearly don't have to give up the pawn. But maybe if you're gonna, you know, to be honest, maybe you're better off just playing king b8. That bishop, he's having trouble like even coming up with a plan for this bishop anyway. Maybe your knight on e6 is too good. Actually, he has this move now. No, there's no pin. Well, not against the king, I mean. Yeah, so it's only possible after bishop e3. He's threatening bishop f5 in some positions. So king b8 makes a lot of sense anyway, I think. Does he have a trick? He has a trick. You take with the bishop. Again. Because if you take with the queen, he has queen takes g7. That's kind of fun. That doesn't work either, no. No, actually he has no threat. Alright, so maybe this is premature. Take f6 isn't great. You drop a pawn for basically nothing. You got nothing special on the g file. You're now sacrificed a pawn. Now a second pawn, you get a pawn back. Material's equal. You have an open file. This is really random. And now he trades queens. And so this is totally different position now. But I still think you're fine. And the most important factor in this position is this pawn on d5. It's an uber pawn. Uber pawn gives black the upper hand. You can advance the whole queen side. You have some threats on the king side. White has to be careful. Your bishop's probably better than his bishop. His knight's having trouble. It doesn't have a job. It's out of work. Computer thinks that white is equal here. Wow. I guess it doesn't like your structure, having an isolated pawn. But I would prefer to be black. I think I would prefer to be black. Maybe it doesn't like your h pawn coming under attack here. That's a problem. So maybe this is key, like we should play h5 immediately. You need to play h5 immediately. Because he, anyway, pushing this pawn is not a bad plan. You can tie him down, and plus, you stop that rook h6 bullshit, where he's going to gang up on your pawn. This is a problem. Oops. Still, it's not enough. And you lost the pawn. Now you're in a very difficult position. The guy has two connected passed pawns. I don't know, I mean, the fact that it's opposite colored bishops gives you some hope, but I'm not, like, super optimistic here. And this move doesn't do anything. Not easy what to suggest. Entering blitz mode. You're losing. Those two connected pawns are deadly. This was a weird move. It looks like you should play knight d6. Alright, yep. Yep, so you have some hope here, but white needs to get those pawns going. Whoa, that's very unpleasant. Oh my god. You're kidding me. Oops. Wow. Now you took with the king. If you take with the rook, he has bishop c2 blockading. But I'm not sure. King is better, I guess. b7 is defending, you get all the pawns moving. You're going to have to watch the fork. Oh my god, he went for an exchange. So I don't know, I assume this is like a draw. Should I assume that? Your pawns are pretty fast and pretty strong, but I don't think you should be winning. It's a draw. It's actually slightly better for white. b5. Yes. Yes, obviously. Easy to play. Now what? Like king d5 or something? Yeah, this is a bad move. I thought king d5. You got to get your other pawn moving, obviously. This is not any time to be moving your knight. I mean, you need the third pawn. It's simple. King d5 followed by c5, c4. Computer says you're lost now. Oh, no, my bad. Whoa. So knight f4, you have a move. You have b3. Oh no. That's a tactical trick because of knight takes here. Oh, that's sick. Wow. You're winning in that position. You're just straight up winning. Oh my god. You had b3. He has to find some sort of miracle defense. It's a draw. That's not working. So if he doesn't panic, it's a draw. Alright, so you went here. This is a waste of time. He goes g4. And now it's still a draw. Wow. What did you, like, flag him or something? What, it's queen against queen? Oh no! You played king f4. King f4. Apparently that's the difference between a draw and a loss here. Oh, that's insane. So king g4 is a draw. You have to play this, and then wait, that's time for f4. And this is a draw. King f4, no good. You're just too fast now. So you are getting better at endgames. No, I mean, but dude, these people online, I mean, they're terrible at endgames and they play too fast. And you've learned your lesson, you know, hopefully, about playing too fast and about, you know, endgames. So you saved a lost position and actually won it. Alright, good job. I got Drowned the Clown. Drown the Clown, Schumacher. This is Schumacher's game. Sorry. Schumacher, are you still awake? He's passed out under the table by now. Schumacher is white against Drown the Clown. We'd love to see Drown the Clown get dunked. D4, Knight of 6, thanks Sun Prism for being a subscriber. Drown the Clown clowning around with E5. Budapest Gambit, not a reliable opening. Reminder to Drown the Clown. Also, bad choice against Schumacher, who is faced against me and who has a friend who plays it. But anyway, Uber driver, are you out there? We got, who else plays this? I remember Uber driver played it. There was that guy that had 5 accounts playing in my simuls. The team, the cult, Merle Dixon, and also our old friend, someone on Sound, used to play 94. So the Butcher promoted this. That I Am was a YouTube channel. Yeah, wonderful. So A3 is the main line. I've never been a big fan of A3. But I've never really. No, I like knight f3, and then if bishop check, I just go bishop d2. I kind of swear by this variation now. It's counterintuitive. They don't, you know, it's not like they're going to recycle this bishop. I think that white is slightly better here. So, but you played a move I've never seen played here, Schumacher. But I like it. It's kind of inspiring. Knight c3. Why not? Because knight takes knight isn't so good. Ultimately, if knight takes knight, pawn takes knight, maybe black should do that. But what does he do now? d6? And we don't release the tension on his terms. We'll play like knight f3. And now what? If knight c6, we play like bishop f4, or even, yeah, probably bishop f4, or even bishop g5. Bishop g5, bishop e7. Maybe I like bishop f4 better. Well, let's see the lead chess opening score, because there's probably a million games here. Alright, so what do we got? Knight c3 is the third most popular move, and White's score is slightly plus. It's a move. Not the best move, but not a bad move. If Black takes, which I think he should, pawn takes, the question is Black's best way of playing here. The move with the best score is clearly b6. Blobik style. Is that one of those queen traps? If queen d5? Queen d5 we don't care, right? We're not sacking our rook. Arbakov, 2020. There's somebody named Valentin Arbakov. He came back to life. The good Gorky Park hustler. The worst smelling chess player in history. B takes c. Knight c6. Alright, anyway, let's go back to the game. Uber Driver, rather Drown the Clown, played bishop b4. Now, I think I've seen queen d4 played here. But your move makes a lot of sense. Bishop d2. Did you do that? This makes a lot of sense. It's fine. And what's he going to do? Take on d2. Okay. Takes on d2. Queen takes d2. Knight c6. And now a3. But as they say, where's the fire? So you think it matters if you play knight f3 first, or if you play a3 here? Maybe it doesn't give you time to play a5. You know, it's interesting. If knight f3, could Black play a5 and try to keep this bishop? I mean, I don't know. Probably that doesn't matter. In any case, he's going to trade queen e7, knight f3, and we're going to go back to my game with Merle. I mean, this is like a very old game. Was it Smislav or someone had a game? Rook d1, rook d5. Already been here. I've been here before. Yeah. So Schumacher played a funny move now, g3. But I've definitely played this position before by transposition. I've played rook d1, and then if rook e8, rook d5. And in fact, I might have games here. b3, b3, e3, bishop b7. So let's see. Player, Sparkle Horse says white. So look at that. Sparkle Horse Shockey 2023. But I think I have almost the same position from much older games too. Now this is clearly better for white. But this is known idea. Knight d8, Black plays, and then you sack the exchange. It's not forced, but you can sacrifice the exchange. So I've done this against Uber Driver, I believe. Bishop takes d5, pawn takes d5 with the two giant pawns, and then pressure on c7. I guess Black has like d6 there. Is there enough compensation? There is. Look at this monster knight coming. Look. It's monster knight. Anyway, so the bad opening for Black deserves to be punished. But g3 is well, I have two games here, you can see. One from 2021. But anyway. Yeah, I've got more and more games after knight f3. Castles. The other people played like b6 immediately. Someone on sound. So we're going back to someone on sound games from 2020 now. Someone on sound knows what he's doing. So if he played b6, it must be a better move order. But I think he gave this up. Alright, castles, g3, rook e8. The problem is going to be this pawn here. That's why it's better to play e3, probably. Knight takes e5, castles, and now I remember seeing this. d6, rook f e1, and now black plays a5. But shouldn't maybe black exchange pieces here? In fact, like if we go back one more move, I mean, I kind of want to ask the question, like, well, should we exchange knights? Because there's a chance white will play knight d4 eventually. So I would be like a little scared of this. Maybe white can eventually kick the knight out with f4, like h3 and f4. Anyway, it's just a blitz game. 8 minute. So at this point, Schumacher had berserked, so he's used 25, 26 seconds. Drawn the clown with 30 seconds. They're playing bullet. Black's playing like your Uncle Yermo now. The solid. He plays the Budapest Gambit for a draw. H4. That's horrible. It's hard to win though. I had a lot of games like this against Chessmaster. What was it? Like Chessmaster. I don't remember. Chessmaster. Whatever, 2500. What the hell was it called? Chessmaster 3000. It used to play the Budapest. The solid Budapest. Chessmaster 3000. I had Chessmaster 2000. Now I'm talking about Chessmaster 3000 when it had a little bit of a better opening repertoire. I had them all. Yeah, I had the original. I still have it. Was that Ubisoft? Now that I think about it, probably not. It was older than Ubisoft, although Ubisoft probably bought it. It was like, it could have been Electronic Arts. I don't remember. That can be looked up though. We can ask DeepSeek about the massacre in Tiananmen Square. Oh no, we can't. That's not possible. Strange, isn't it? How dictators like to erase conveniently their insurrections, or insurrections and massacres. But anyway, getting off the subject of politics, we can find out the information about that no matter what. I'm tired. Alright, h4, this is a stupid move for white. What are you doing? There are better things to do for white here, for sure. One interesting move is this, but I think the problem is c5. This is a web page where you can play it. Wow. I would prefer battle chess. h4 is a horrible move. Bishop b7. And now knight c5. Let's just shake hands and agree to a draw now. The fact that this isn't a draw is like absurd. King takes g2, and it's a total draw. You know, I'm a little bit surprised that Drown the Clown doesn't play queen takes e5 here. That seems like an even more sure way to get a draw. Maybe he didn't like this. He is a little bit worse here. Maybe he's right, actually. This is not that fun. I mean, rook c7, rook a7, rook c8, king f3. Maybe black's lost. Man, this is real close. No, this isn't good. Okay, good call. Drown the Clown is correct to not exchange queens there against his instincts. Now f6, another Drown the Clown move that weakens the position. Maybe black should consider h5. h5, h6. You know, now h4 looks like it was a smart move. A c6 weakening the structure. I'm not sure I fully grasp c6. You know, even e4 may not be that stupid, to be perfectly honest. So what do you guys think? Not c6. H5, h6, or e4. Doesn't seem to like e4. Wonder why. Let's just be e3. I would go with h5 or h6 then. What's the problem with e4? So this b5, but it's still fine. Black's still fine. No, it's not necessary to play c6. This is a very serious weakness. And here I do not get it at all. Why would black, who obviously is slightly worse, not exchange pawns in this position? This is crazy. You're definitely worse. White's about to penetrate, attack their c6 pawn. You have the chance to trade pawns. Kind of like limit the number of pawns on the board. Drastically improve your drawing chances. And honestly, like, in all reality, you know, the chances are it will be a draw. But this not trading pawns looks very bad. Rook d6. That's horrible. Clearly Drown the Clown lost the thread there. It's a little late for e4. But I would say this is like, you know, the first mistake is c6, and the second mistake is like playing b5. And now he's in nearly lost position. There's h5 for you, and the h4 looks brilliant now. The h4, h5, h6 and queen endings is particularly dangerous. Black is losing. Yeah, big mistake by white. No, it doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter. This c6 is going. But I do think you could play h5 just as well there. This is over. Sleaze Master 5000 won't save this position. Oh, nice. Nice. Resigns. Mate. Alright, last game. Mike Myrmidon versus Mule Skinner. Chessmaster 2100. Sorry, that's another version. Chessmaster 2000 had an opening book of over 71,000 moves. The world largest at that time. I keep thinking it was Electronic Arts, the original Chessmaster. It was a major software. It was a big deal at the time. But I was talking about Chessmaster 3000, which came out later. Much, much later, with the last Chessmaster. One mode. Alright, so what are we now? We're playing Taimon Marzek. This is from Mule Skinner's Over the Board play. We're playing the French, and it's an advanced variation. So that's good. We don't see a Tarash, because usually we get Tarashes. We haven't seen any Knight C3 lines too much. You mostly just get Tarashes. So this is now interesting question. With the Johnny Hector Gambit gaining in popularity, my first question to you, Mule Skinner, is maybe we should play Bishop D7. Does it matter? This is your new line. What did you play before? I forgot. Well, Queen B6, the problem is Bishop D3. I don't know if it says ratings here. I think we had some tags. It's sometimes hard to see the tags. It doesn't say. Just the name of the opponent. You're 1845, his opponent is 1700. So I think the problem is that this is very popular now. This Bishop D3. You're going to have to be well prepared for this. So after takes, white plays castles. And this is the big problem, you know. You better know exactly what you're doing here, because everybody's going to be playing this, I would think. It's very easy to play for white, but I do think you have to have a depth of strategic understanding. It's a positional pawn sacrifice for white. Anyway, whatever. Okay, the guy plays traditional bishop e2, and now knight h6, and ironically, you're not taking the pawn? Okay, well, you know how that goes. They're going to take on c5. So you're going to have something prepared there. I'm sure you do. Just be warned. So now it's ironic that you had this, because I just had another game when my other students played the exact same line, but I'm lying. That position was bishop d7, maybe castles bishop d7. I think castles and bishop d7 were in, but the same exact theme. So white takes immediately. So this is inaccurate. The Pop Laszlo Sports Arena. That was something else. So white should play what? Oh, okay. Bishop takes h6. G takes h6. And queen d2. Yeah, you know, the position I'm thinking of was a different one. This looks like it might be more accurate. So queen b6 puts immediate pressure here. Maybe it's better than doing bishop d7. If they play bishop d3, I mean, you know, be prepared. So here, and this is a good move, it looks like. Queen takes b2 is okay as well. Okay. Okay, so this is known. This is known. Then d takes c5 is not good. There's knight a3, right? So knight a3 should be the main move then. What's wrong with knight a3? Are we going to transpose? C takes c4, c takes d4. Does this transpose or what? Preussers Tregubov. Knight f5, and we'll transpose. Transpose back. Will I am. Okay, it transposes back into knight e7. It's okay. It's fine. And so your opponent instead takes on c5. The problem is bishop takes c5. You have this knight g4 thing. Oh no. It's Pop Laszlo versus Deák Ferenc. It's actually reversed. In Hungarian, it's Laszlo, Pop, and Ferenc Deák. But in Hungarian, we say the last name first. So Pop Laszlo and Ferenc Deák. There's a square in the city center. Ironically, I know this guy. I met this guy years ago. I think he's even on my Facebook friends. But Deák Ferenc is a famous personality in Hungarian history, and there's one of the main squares in Buda is named after the same exact name, Deák Ferenc. But anyway, knight g4, and now white has no choices but to play queen e1, apparently. And you lost the pawn, white. Bam. So you caught him in the 1998 trap. Nice. I think Pop Laszlo must be somebody who's like dead. Dead. Dead, dead. But maybe not. Knight takes e5, knight takes e5, knight takes e5, knight d2. A lot of chess players quit the game after playing for years and stop playing tournaments. It might just be a guy I don't remember. Castles, knight b3, bishop d6. So we're up clear pawn. White has no compensation. This is not a sacrifice. It's an accident. Queen c7, knight d4, threatening knight b5. Here's a question. Do we give a shit about spending the time to play a6. You know, so I think you need to ask yourself, is it more efficient to play bishop d7 and be willing to just saw off his knight, or is a6 really worth playing? So maybe bishop d7 is better than a6. True, white can get the bishop pair with knight b5, bishop takes b5, bishop takes b5, but I don't think it's a major factor. So that's something to think about. You know, there could be some drawbacks with a6, maybe weakening like the b6 square, but it doesn't look like it's a problem. All right, f4, and then that's his only break, you know, and plus he gets his queen squares. Objectively looks like white should be lost, because eventually you'll smack him in the middle with the rolling center, and he's just down a pawn. I mean, obviously, but there's still some middle game to play here. So, knight c4 is a tempo, and white maybe doesn't want to trade his light square bishop off. But, you know, I don't know, man, if I were white, what to do. I'm not sure. Taking it, if he takes it, less pieces on the board. You could even consider taking the pawn to try to play bishop b7 and put your bishop on the long diagonal. If he plays instead like this to attack your king side, you know, I'm not sure you want to take this, but it's possible. Because of like bishop h7, king h7, check, you know, king g8, queen takes b2. Maybe white isn't lost, I don't know. Well, white is still clear pawn down. I don't know, like, if he should play bishop c1. Computer agrees, but it's a close decision between those lines. Now it's changing its mind. Now it's like, nah, it's too inconvenient, I'll play bishop takes c4. Yeah, it's a tough position for white. He decides to play bishop c1, okay, but this isn't going to be a magic bullet either. b3 is going to weaken his queen side, and meanwhile his rook can't get in the game. So his stonewall attack is a little bit stupid, with the bishop on c1, rook on a1. Now black playing bishop c5, but I'm not sure. I guess this is so your knight can come back to d6. Okay. Now you took, but do you have a permission slip for that exchange? So ultimately here, I mean, my assumption is that you're operating with the idea of using this as a retreat square for your knight. Not that serious. And almost done. Windows is asking me for updates. I think it's gonna like reach out and like, you know, pull me into the screen soon. My computer's like bugging out, starting to malfunction and shit. No, I'm out of here soon. This is our last game. But we took it pretty seriously. No alcohol has been imbibed in the course of the stream. Bishop to c1. I don't know, you know, Skinner. I think you should develop. And obviously there's an issue with like b3. You can always play knight a5. It's kind of awkward, but maybe that's the right way to do it. Actually it's tricky because at some point white could go crazy and play like f5. So let's say he goes nuts and plays f5, you know. Check, king h1. And white's starting like f6. The question would be like, how dangerous is f6? You can always just take. So the answer is not very. As long as you can take on f5, I think you're fine. f5 is not a big problem. At the end of the day, he's down a central pawn. But I don't know if I trust what you did here. You know, it just seems like a big concession. Now maybe you're completely winning, but I don't think it's so easy. I mean, we could argue you played it safe, but you're giving away a little bit of compensation. On the other hand, if you can magically do the French thing. You magically trade light square bishops, and he doesn't have f5, f6, then you're a genius. You know what I mean? But right now your bishop's on c8, so bishop d7. I mean, first of all, the guy can take his chances in opposite colored bishops where he's much worse, but still has some chance for survival. Maybe that's his best bet. He goes here. Okay, I see. He has maybe bishop a3. So that's the other thing. I regret you trading your dark square bishop. At the end of the day, you traded a good dark square bishop. Was it justified? I'm not really sure. He has counterplay. Bishop a3, rook fe8. You're a little bit passive. Rook c1. And now this is unpleasant, but still solid. Bishop d3. This guy's coming back. And now where to put your queen? Are you winning here? Well, I don't think so. White's very active. But you do have a big knight coming to e4. So queen d8. Now white needs to very seriously consider hacking your knight off with bishop takes d6. And saying, guess what, bro? I'm a pawn down, but I think I have chances to hang on here because your bishop's really bad. So maybe you made too many concessions starting with bishop c5 and bishop takes d4. But I mean, we can check what the computer says. I want to see the evaluation here when you're up a clear pawn. He plays bishop c1. Now bishop c5, okay. King h1, and now takes. Your advantage dropped a little. It dropped about 0.3. C takes d4. Okay. Okay. And now, okay, you're down. You've dropped 0.3. Not that bad. Yeah. So the computer agrees he should hack this guy. But, it's still defensible for white. He has compensation. Not enough, but enough maybe to hold a draw. He might have pretty good chances to draw here. With all the central pawns on the right color, some threats of f5, your bishop being kind of bad. You could bail out with like bishop e5. So depending on what he does, you're threatening that. But heavy piece endgames could be draws, a lot of them. So queen d8, he has some compensation, and then he allows this. Now it's a different story. I don't know if he should have done this. No, I mean, he's a pawn down and he has a worse structure. No, I'm saying he has some compensation for his disadvantage, but it's not enough for you to be winning. I mean, you have an advantage, but it's not enough to be winning. But now, with the knight on e4, I think his position becomes very difficult. This capture is, the opposite color bishop is going to be tricky because this diagonal opens up, and I think I like your game, and your bishop becomes a better piece. And if he can't take the knight on e4, then he really has problems. Playing around the knight on e4, good luck with that, right? He could sack an exchange. Like, that's bad too. This looks tougher. I mean, he definitely should have taken. This definitely take the knight on d6. Excellent chances. Excellent chances to hang on. But after this, what is that? What has he got there? Nothing. Nothing. He's going to sack the exchange. Now it's a matter of slowly improving our position. I was thinking like f6 at some point. Well, the other thing you can do would be to do this at some point with bishop b5. But in this case, you would get the c file. So f5's committal. I think f5's too committal. I don't think you need to play f5. You know, I think you should keep it in reserve. And maybe play f6. And then you have options. You might play like queen e7, creep over here. You could possibly later bring your bishop back there. Probably not. But anyway, I like the creeping on the light squares. You know, f5 is okay. It's safe, but now you have less flexibility. Let's see what the computer would do. Wow, knight f6. That's a surprising move. Really don't understand knight f6. I have to be honest. Wow, knight f6 is the #1 move. Oh shit. That's deep. The computer wants to like play for bishop b5 without the knight on e4 being exchanged. Alright, whatever. It's still not my favorite plan. What's wrong with my move? Damn, computer just doesn't like it. It's like playing f5 anyway. h3, h6. Okay, this is more like it. h3, h6. Queen e3, rook c8, king h8, that's fine. Like, why do we have to be in a hurry? Why do we have to be in a hurry to play f5? White's not threatening anything. You know? Just seems so committal to me. But I guess you have g5. You can just, like, do it anyway. You're gonna have to play g5. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the pets. I'm going to keep an eye on h4. For defensive reasons only. King f7. That's a ballsy move. That's also for defensive reasons only. Here I am thinking f6 and king h8, and he's like f5, king f7. So king h8. I'm afraid. Please don't hurt me. This is like, I'm not afraid. I'm going to smack you. My king is safe. Very fearful move, the king f7. I still don't see why f5 is better than f6. More options is always better. So rook g8. You know, if only he could get this bishop into d6. You know, he'd probably save the day. This queen h3 is annoying. Now you're lucky you had queen f6. That's a good move. Dropping his queen on queen h7. But what about queen h5 check? So he takes, first of all, he has access to d6. Secondly, he has queen h5 check. Oh no. What do you call it if you take with the h-pawn here? Earlier I called it a TV antenna, when it's just these four. But if you get that, like that thing, this, what is that? It's a microscope. Oh shit. Look dude, it's a microscope. What is this dude smoking? The microscope structure. Dude, position. I mean, did you get that from alien knowledge, like handed down from the universe or something? Fancy chess. When we play over the board, we don't have a computer, obviously. Well, most of us. You can call this 0-0 all you want, but when it comes to practical chess, Black's going to win a large portion. Oh, you're guessing? No. White is in deep shit, man. White is close to lost. Maybe White has a miracle, like h4. After that move, for example. I don't think that would even hold, right? Even if you could stop g5, I would have rook h8, and then if you try to play g3, I have g5, and if you try to take, I have f4. It's totally insane. I have no idea what's happening here. Black's better, but it's not a win, apparently. But it's still very complex. So trading queens isn't great. But this guy, really, with white, he doesn't trade queens. Alright. Yeah, actually, fair enough. I think that white might be under the misconception that he's better, you know, which would be a very, very bad thing to think. I think rook e8 here looks pretty logical. On the downside, you have to watch this. Like I said, bishop d6, bishop e5 could lead to trouble. I still think putting your king on f7 was a little bit risky. You know, you might have been safer putting the king on h8, but then again, on h8 you end up on the dark square. It's true. Maybe objectively, like h6, king h7, and slowly put your king on h7 with pawn on h6 and prepare g5. I think white still thinks he has winning chances, or he's better. Check here, queen h4 here. Exactly, bishop d6. Exchanges will be sacked, but by who? Make no mistake, black is still better here. And it's not really like the material, but I guess it is. The extra pawn is a very good one. The central pawn. This pawn is too strong, man. It's dude, it's the pawn from hell. On e4. White is almost lost. But this move is unfortunate. We do not want to play h5. h6. Maybe h6. And now even queen g4. Dude, there's no access. It doesn't matter. White has no access to the black position. Now he sacks in exchange, but that's stupid. Is that enough? No. This is just insane. He's stupid and impatient. You know, I don't think h5 is a good move, and white should just play h3, probably. Okay, perhaps you have queen h6. You're still better. White is slightly worse. But there's absolutely no reason to freak out here with rook takes c6. It's very limited thinking. It's like, okay, I immediately have a threat. If rook c8, I made him. Okay, but the problem is, black has like queen g4. What are you going to do after queen g4? I'm not going to go here and like get mated in one. I mean, clearly, my king needs a square. I mean, rook h8, rook c7 check, king g8, and bishop e5 looks uncomfortable. But I'm not even sure that's lost. You know, we've got this. So this sack is unsound, but this is pretty easy to see. You know, this move, because white has a back rank weakness. Threatening to trade queens and the back rank weakness at d4. And if I drive you off this diagonal, I am threatening rook c8, so you have to check. Shouldn't he check here first? At least drive your king to g6, and then try to avoid exchanging. But anyway, you're going to go rook c8. He can't avoid the exchange. He can't avoid rook c8. Maybe a4, b4, b5. Maybe black shouldn't take a4. Dude, what? No, the whole exchange sacrifice just loses. Oh, you're saying maybe a4 for white. Yeah, something reasonable. Yeah, exactly, move 11. It's crazy to sack the exchange. I mean, there's just no reason to do that here. He's not desperate, he's slightly worse. White is only slightly worse. He's hanging on, but he is worse. But this is just total panic. Take, 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 queen g4, and now he's lost. This is just clear exchange down. This pawn is a monster. Take on a6, it doesn't matter. These two pawns are not as strong as that pawn on e4, probably. It's 3 squares from queening, and white has a back rank problem. The exchange sack seemed wrong, but it's okay according to the engine. Come on. Okay and not necessary. Yeah, okay. H5 is a bad move. You should play, I think, H6 and play for the win. After H3, you're slightly better. But honestly, H5, he should play H3. It is a mistake to sack the exchange, but not as big as we thought. My suggestion, H3 is the best move. He needs to get his Squid King off the diagonal. But I do think this is a mistake. I mean, computer somehow thinks this is holding. Wow. So now H3. So Stockfish thinks that white can hang on here. It's hard for black to break through, and that may be true. But I still don't see any justification for this sack. You know, I don't think it's a good idea. It's unnecessary. But he's looking for a win, so rook takes c6 loses. I guess the main problem with rook takes c6 is the exchange of rooks. Black has a redundant rook. If you trade the rooks, then white's lost. So rook takes c6 wins a pawn, but allows black likely to trade the rooks. So if he doesn't take on c6, then likely black rooks can't get an open file. It's very hard to get an open file and make the extra exchange really useful. I would still try. No, not too many people are going to play h3. Sack the exchange, then play h3. No, it's like one or the other. You know, he's going to take, he took, he's threatening rook c7 to win, and then he's lost after queen g4. But you can't trade queens here. But anyway, rook c8's coming, so I don't think that white will survive. It's too much. He thought that he would get some pawn and somehow those pawns would be good, but you're getting mated on the back rank. There's too many problems. He played rook dg8, threatening rook takes c5, and rook takes d4 at the same time. That's pretty nasty, man. That's a nasty trick you got there. But be careful, if he blockades, we're in trouble. G5. G5 looks pretty good. I guess we would have G3. There's still a lot of ways to skin a cat, man. What if, for example, you did this G5, G3, take, and G3, and like takes, and now rook takes, and now you're mating him on the other side with rook H8. You know? His king is so open. I think G5 looks pretty damn good. You know, G5, it's +4. Yeah, G5 is the best move. Oh, you also had rook A8, which I underestimated. It's counterintuitive. Trading rooks, he has two connectors, but these pawn breaks, the amoeba has to go forward. You have to use your pawn majority. So this isn't as good. You give him time, he might survive here. E3. Now that pawn it's on the verge. But he played rook A7 check. Probably not a bad move. And this is unfortunate. I don't know where to put your king. I'm not sure. G6. You're threatening rook takes c5 with mate. Plays king f1. And then you have e5. You better have e5. Because if you don't have e5, then you're probably in trouble. I guess he has g3 now. Okay, check. It's too late. It's too late. King h5. And now f4. Okay, king e2. And you got an exchange sack. Exchanges will be sacked. Now I get it. Take, check. Oh. Boom. That's right, exchanges will be sacked. F3. Too late, bro. Oof. Oof. Get out your oof guns. King h5. It's the best move. much more ballsy than king h7. There's lines where you're going up and in. I like it. Alright guys, fun games today. Thanks for joining us. I'm out. Time for dinner and some rest, and we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow with the Blitz stream. Friday Blitz challenges 12:30 around. See you guys there. Masturbate. Don't forget to eat your pets. Masturbate. I'm not sure you can make it on Friday, but thanks guys for tuning in. Interesting games today. Later. Bye bye.